Previously on the American Le Mans Series.
Oh, Briscoe's got right there. He touched him. He put him off on the right-hand side.
Apparently Briscoe thinks we're in NASCAR and we're just going to ram each other down the straights. I mean, come on.
Oh, what was he thinking there? And how did he not take more people out?
The summer heat and tempers are rising. And now the fastest, most daunting challenge of the season awaits the stars of the American Le Mans Series. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And its bite is worse than its bark. ESPN and the American Le Mans Series are proud to bring you live coverage of Round 5 of the 2013 season. It's the American Le Mans Series Sports Car Grand Prix. To the fans on the hill, the name may have changed to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park a year ago, but in their hearts, it will always be known as Mosport. And with glorious weather on hand today, the racing should be spectacular. Hello everyone, I'm Brian Till and welcome to today's coverage and welcome to one of North America's most daunting racetracks. And while there have been some track improvements, the personality of this racetrack has remained unchanged since 1961. Some of the world's great drivers have driven here and they faced then what today's drivers will face, and that is high speeds. In the American Le Mans Series, it's the Prototype 1 category car that is by far the fastest, and Muscle Milk Pickett Racing has been on top of the P1 charts all season long. Justin Bell has more on Muscle Milk Pickett Racing, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and high speeds.
Klaus Graf and Lucas Law have shown outstanding speed, which has thrilled all the fans here this weekend. But Klaus, driving a car this fast around this track has two sets of issues, I guess. One is the traffic and the other is the track on its own.
I mean, the track itself is so demanding and so rewarding at the same time. You know, it's like a roller coaster ride around here. It's really fun to drive on this very high-speed track. But then obviously we have such high speed differences in all the classes that we really have to make sure we manage traffic correctly and look ahead, look forward, to be prepared to slow down and give everybody the respect they deserve. So it's a bit of a challenge, but I love this place. I had a lot of success, and the Muscle Milk car usually runs pretty good here.
And here's another little fact for the fans. It's Klaus's birthday today and Lucas's tomorrow. And believe me, they're going to have to work very hard to get that very special birthday present.
Klaus Graf looking for a special birthday present. As you said, Justin, the American Le Mans Series known for close racing. And a lot of times when you have close racing, well, you have a little bit of controversy. That's exactly what we had 2 weeks ago at Lime Rock Park. In the Prototype 2 category, Ryan Briscoe giving chase to Guy Cosmo in the green 01, the green and black 01. They make contact. Cosmo spins out of the lead, and a lot of people thought there would be a penalty called immediately. There was not. So this weekend we caught up with American Le Mans Series race director Paul Walter to explain the ruling.
At Lime Rock we had two separate incidents. One was a contact issue that was being evaluated for whether or not there should be a penalty assessed. Shortly after that we had a significant contact incident with the 62 car and 22 car, which got the majority of our attention because our focus is on safety. We have in the regulations expressly illustrated that if there is a late race penalty, that we'll follow a particular procedure in assessing the penalty, and that within that the podium results will stand while we evaluate if and whether or not there should be a penalty and what that might be. And that's there in the interest of giving us the time to do the due diligence, to issue a penalty correctly, rather than trying to rush the process at the end to get something jammed in before the podium occurs. We want to be able to give the same degree of due diligence to a late race incident as we're able to do early on in the race.
So in the end, Ryan Briscoe, he gets fourth place points. Cosmo and Sharp get first place points. So this is what the Prototype 2 category Drivers' Championship looks like right now. Up on top is Marino Franchitti. He leads. Then Guy Cosmo, Scott Sharp, and Scott Tucker are all tied. Even though they left with first place points, still don't think Guy Cosmo is completely happy. Jamie Howe has more.
Getting the first place points does not always equal standing on the top step of the podium, but this is the big picture. We have to think the championship. And for Guy Cosmo and Scott Sharp, they're now tied for second place. So Guy, how is this team refocused and got ready for another race?
Well, you know, you have to just take the past and put it behind you. We're here to race today. Lime Rock was, obviously a little bit of a disappointment, but, we're all racing hard and stuff happens. So at the end of the day, we're focused on this championship. We want to win it. We're closer in points now. Getting the first place points there was a big gain for us, and ultimately what we would have accomplished had we won. And today we're just ready to do it all over again. We got to stay focused, looking forward for each race, each moment. We have to perform at our best.
When you get out of the car after you have an incident like what we saw at Lime Rock, you're running on adrenaline. The aggression is high. How do you calm yourself down and get ready for another green flag period?
That's a good question. In the past, I've been known to, I'm very passionate about what I do. And thought I did a very good job at maintaining my composure and realizing that, life is a lot bigger than that one moment was. So Ryan's a great guy. We're going to have great racing for the rest of the year. I hope his wrist heals up soon so we can start scrapping it out for the rest of these races and just move on, It was one day. We're good.
Guy mentioned that wrist. Ryan Briscoe not racing for level 5 here this weekend because he did break his wrist. He has had surgery, but Mike Conway's filling in, and he starts the P2 class on the pole. Right now, he's with Justin Bell.
Well, Mike, it's a beautiful morning here, but of course the challenges are quite immense. This is a very tricky racetrack, but you seem to have grabbed it with both hands on your debut.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome track. I, obviously last minute coming here and got to watch some video, but yeah, until you get out there and experience it, it's, a whole other thing. So it's lots of fun, lots of commitment, blind apexes, lots of elevation changes, and having fun out there. When you do a good lap, it's really rewarding at the end of it.
Of course, all motorsport fans would love to know, you've just been so impressive in IndyCar, and you come here. Any similarities between these kind of cars?
Similar in terms of, a downforce car, carbon brakes. The power level's a little bit different, and obviously it's a little bit heavier, but, similar in the ways you drive it. So, I'm having fun in the car, and obviously I drove some LMP2 stuff this year, a bit at Silverstone, Spa, and Le Mans 24 Hours. So, yeah, I like them. They're good, fun cars, and, they're rewarding.
Well, and Mike Conway showed that he can certainly handle one. Everybody's talked about speed around this racetrack. Well, in qualifying, you're looking for the maximum speed that you can get. You want to be on the pole. In Corvette Racing's Jan Magnussen wanted that pole. He was in P2 at the time. Goes for one more lap. Big contact at the exit of turn 3. Extensive damage to that Corvette, and you can see just how big the hit is. But also can see how important the tire wall is right there because it really softened the blow. Extensive damage. The crew worked all night. Good to see Magnussen out of the car. And Jamie has more on what it took to get the 3 back.
The damage was so severe on the number 3 Corvette that the team has decided to switch out the tires. They will start this race at the back of the pack, but it was a Herculean effort even to make the grid of this race. The entire team had to rebuild that car from pretty much the chassis up on the left-hand side. The mechanics from the number 3 car as well as the number 4 car were here until just about midnight. It took them 7 hours to get that car race ready, but because they're starting at the back, that means that we have an all SRT Viper front row being led by Jonathan Bomarito in his very first American Le Mans Series pole. Jonathan, what does this mean to the team?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, now, like you said, to have both cars starting on the front row is I think more than any of us anticipated and hoped for. But we're absolutely excited and thrilled for the weekend. Everybody's been working so hard to get to this point. Our Viper is just performing phenomenally. Even this morning's warm-up was great. So we're looking forward to big things. I want to do one shout-out to huge asset to this program who's been here since the beginning, who just had a baby boy a couple nights ago. Matt, we're thinking about you and we miss you here.
And Jonathan will start the race. His co-driver Kuno Whitmer, the Canadian, he's going to get to race in front of his hometown crowd.
Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, just northeast of Toronto. 2.5 miles, and using Google Earth, you get a good look at it. For an even better look, here's Extreme Speed Motorsports driver Guy Cosmo.
I'm Guy Cosmo from Extreme Speed Motorsports, and we are at the bad boy of all tracks in North America, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. This place separates the men from the boys. Why, you ask? Because it's got the fastest corners and the highest average speed of all the places we go. Let's check it out. Here we are at Turn 1, one of the most daunting corners at this racetrack. We don't slow down on the approach to Turn 1. We're flat out in 5th gear, 135 miles an hour as we turn in, downhill, blind, huge G-forces when we get to the middle. And once we get to the exit, we have to remind ourselves to take a breath before we get to Turn 2. Here we are at Turn 3, where we've got new asphalt. There used to be concrete here, which was very bumpy. This new surface is smoother, it provides more grip, and it will ultimately lead to faster speeds. We like that. We've just crested the final hill of the Mario Andretti Straight. We are at the Mac Daddy of corners, turn 8. We're doing 170 plus miles per hour. We don't slow down. We just turn right in, full throttle for turn 8. Hang on for dear life. Get the car slowed up for the S's at turn 9 and 10. Head yourself back onto the front straightaway, and you've completed a lap at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
When we left Canadian Tire Motorsport Park last year, we knew that there were several improvements planned for the facility. We had seen artist renderings, and we had talked about plans with Ron Fellows and his partners. The artist renderings, they were spectacular, and it was great when we came back this year to see that they have actually come to fruition. There's a look at some of the new buildings. The improvements continue here from this great racetrack, and we'll be back to more American Le Mans Series action.
Deltran battery tender battery chargers. Just like the everyday consumer, the racing community knows the importance of a healthy charge. Deltran battery tender is the trusted charger for some of the most respected brands in the world today. Don't let a dead battery ruin your fun or work. If you can't start it, you can't drive it. Connect a Deltran battery tender battery charger to all of your batteries. Available at these fine retailers. If it's not a Deltran battery tender, it's just a pretender.
Rated E for everyone.
We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The 911. Porsche identity.
Now relax. Let the chi flow from the inner Zhang Fu organs outwards as the needles open your meridians.
Oh, it feels so good. I really thought the needles would hurt.
So did I. I hate needles.
That must make it hard to do what you do.
Oh, not really. I deliver paninis. He's the acupuncturist. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Oh.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
This isn't just a car. It's a legend. This isn't just a family. It's a statement. And this isn't just a brand. It's an attitude. This is SRT. Street and Racing Technology.
American Le Mans Series Sports Car Grand Prix is brought to you by Michelin, a better way forward. Tequila Patron, simply perfect.
The 15th straight year, the American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron, makes its annual pilgrimage to one of the world's few true remaining old-school racetracks. It is now at the newly named Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and it is round 5 of the American Le Mans Series. It is the Sports Car Grand Prix. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Jeremy Shaw. And Jeremy, some of the news here is about all the changes to the facility, making it world-class. One thing that's not changing, rightfully so, the track layout. It's already a world-class challenge.
It certainly is, and has been for over 50 years. They've been racing here. You talk about a natural terrain road course. This is it. This is right here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It follows the natural terrain, all sorts of sweeping corners, ups and downs, a lot of elevation change. But you're right, you know, the new facilities here, the new entranceway, the new hospitality building with the media suites and everything else, absolutely stunning.
And for the drivers, paved runoff areas in some of those key high-speed corners, a lot more safety, a little bit more confidence maybe, and with lap speeds approaching 135 miles an hour average for the fast cars, that was necessary. It's Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It is time to go racing for round 5.
perfect conditions here this afternoon. A good crowd of knowledgeable race fans on hand. The action began yesterday in qualifying. We've already heard about the Corvette crash. Well, there was an almost identical incident in PC class in qualifying as well. Out at turn 3, where Michael Gouache was on a good lap in qualifying. He ran wide exactly the same as Magnussen hit the wall. That tee was up until midnight, until 4 o'clock this morning. Let's go down to Jamie Howe for more in the PC class.
Well, Michael Gouache, we have just seen the video of that dramatic accident that you had yesterday. First off, what condition are you in the car in?
I'm fine. I'm a little sore, but I'm fine. It was a big hit, over 10 Gs, and tore the car up pretty well. But I mean, my hat's off to the team. PR1, they put the car back together last night, all night long. They got 1 hour's sleep. Everyone was there. I mean, thank God. You know, I'm fine. The car's back together. We went out for our warm-up. The car's good. So, you know, we got to start from the back, though, very, very far back, because we had to put on tires. We popped tires and split tires. So by the rule, we have to start from the far back. So we got our work cut out for us today.
I talked to the team owner, Bobby Orgel. He told me the team was here until 4:30 this morning. They had to get the car back through tech again later on this morning, so this team is very tired today.
There's no peace for the wicked. That PR1 Matheson Motorsports team, those guys have hardly got any sleep at all, but the car ran well in the warm-up this morning, and they're looking good for the race. David Cheng will start that 52 car from the back of the grid. The pole sitter in GTC was Jerome Bloekermelen, who is a star here, particularly in qualifying. Let's go down to Justin Bell.
Jerome, we're standing here. Cooper's out in the car right now on these parade laps. Qualifying in GTC is split by hairs. Do you feel that the race will go the same way? It's just a close fought category.
Yeah, it's incredible. We all run the same car, same tire, same amount of power, so it's so close, and it's going to stay like that for the rest of the year. So every race you got to pump yourself up and give it all you have, and then hopefully win it.
And of course, you're very aware of what a historic track is, and the fans here, deep passion to watch this. Watching Cooper out there, his job at the beginning of the race is what?
Yeah, also amongst those guys all starting now, it's very close, so hopefully he stays out front, but also that fight will be already, the fight is on now basically.
Jeremy, as you can tell, everyone down here on tenterhooks for the start of this race, and I'm sure the fans out there are as well.
Absolutely so, and it's going to be a great race. It's the parity among the classes this season has been pretty remarkable. We had a whole bunch of different combinations of winners in each of the classes. In GT, we've had 4 different winners so far in the 5 races this season, and every race has been run by a different team so far, and all of the classes pretty much the same. It's the same in GTC. Enrique Cisneros, he's got a couple of wins with 2 different co-drivers, but 3 different teams have tasted the victory spoils already. In PC, much the same there. Michael Gouache, he has won 2 races for PR1 Matheson Motorsports, got a work cut out this afternoon with 2 different co-drivers. And Bruno Junqueira won last time out at Lime Rock Park. One guy looking for a win here at Mosport Park for the first time is Joey Hand. He is with Jamie.
Well, Joey Hand hasn't been behind the wheel of the BMW since Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. He's been filling in his DTM duties. Joey, what's it like to be back here in the American Le Mans Series looking for your first win?
Well, it's good, you know. I mean, this is my home, been my home for a long time, especially with BMW Team RLL. It's great to be back with my boys that we spent so much time together and won so many races and championships together. So, you know, it's been 3.5 long months, and I'm having fun in DTM over there also, but it's always good to come back here. And I got right in the groove, you know, it wasn't too bad. I actually feel the best I've ever felt here at Mosport with this Z4, and, you know, I think we actually have a good shot. I mean, there's a lot of differences out there between the different cars, and for us, I think it's about being mistake-free and being there at the end, and I get to finish this thing, so hopefully I get to have a good race and put on a show for everybody.
Since you get to finish, I have to ask you, are you comfy?
I'm pretty comfy. I told the boys, I said, you know what? This has not always been my most comfortable racetrack, and this C4 for me has been good, even ever since we started driving it, and I was as comfy as I've been here, and that was pretty good the other day, so we'll see what happens. I mean, I think, again, it's about staying clean. We've led this race a lot, but we've had issues, you know, and so I think we just have to stay clean, be out in front at the end, and have the right strategy, which Bobby Rahal and the boys, they always seem to get that right.
Joey's long said, when he's comfy, watch out, good things can happen. He has a special duty today of making sure his co-driver, Dirk Mueller, gets multiple maximum points as he's leading the GT Championship.
Jamie, you say it. I was just thinking it as he was saying that. When Joey says I'm comfy, that usually means he's fast. That's his keyword.
It is, certainly is, and I think it's going to be super close particularly I think between the Vipers, the Corvettes, and the BMWs today in the GT class. This is going to be a cracker, I believe.
Oh, I think it's going to be fantastic. We were talking to on the pre-grid, chatting with a couple of those guys, and that was exactly their sentiments. They said this is going to be so close. You know, qualifying gives you speed, but it doesn't give you racing. And this is it. Pace car is in. Green flag is out. As you would imagine, Klaus Graf leaps away at the front. Andy Merrick jumps into second with Burgess slotting into third. Conway leads away in P2. We are underway at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and they were 3 abreast for a minute at the exit of 1. That means they could be side by side into 2. Oh boy, going racy early on here. Now, well, they're not, are they? Back in that pack, you can see the Core Autosport Porsche, the Paul Miller Porsche, the Falcon Tires Porsche, side by side, working their way around. Jeremy, it has begun.
It has, and one of the Corvettes there already up amongst the BMWs. A good start there by Oliver Gavin in car number 4. He split the 2 BMWs. Can he now get close to the Vipers as well? It's the Vipers at 1-2 at the moment. But the PC cars here, they're driven by the gentleman drivers in the opening stints of the race, and often they're not as quick as the GT cars. So traffic here in the early stages in particular is going to be very, very dicey for some of these guys.
Well, that's a good point, too, as you're coming up to lap them, you know, or just make passes like a Magnussen coming up from the back. You know, it's like, all right, remember who's in the car, remember what their rating is, drive accordingly, and that's just part of the game. And it's going to be fun to watch Magnussen and that team bring that number 3 Corvette up through the pack. He said it felt awesome in morning warm-up.
Look at the Delta Wing there running in second place. That's very cool. They've had minimal track time this weekend. They lost an engine problem yesterday morning. They changed the engine in time for the second practice yesterday, but didn't get out. The reason they didn't get out in that practice session is because they had a clutch problem as well. They did get that fixed for qualifying, and Andy Merrick here is showing excellent speed in the early stages, running in second place overall. How cool is that?
That's fantastic. Andy told me, well, before the race started, he said they tried a little something in the warm-up, said we hit it. He said the car should be good. And looking back, talk about LMP challenge. There is the number 81 Dragon Speed Mishu Motors entry. And as you talked about, this is a great mix. There's your pole sitter in GT, and Jonathan Bomarito held on at the start, actually got Mirko Schultes behind him and gave him the split between he and his teammate. That's Mark Goosen second in that silver Viper right there, and closing right there is Ollie Gavin. I think we're, as you said, going to see this all day long.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. But Jonathan Bomarito, hats off to the guy, 31 years of age, first time here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. You certainly wouldn't know it because he was driving like a veteran. He's got a guy alongside him in that number 93 Viper who has a lot of laps around here. That would be Kuno Whitmer. But hats off to Jonathan Bomarito, who qualified the car on the pole position, his first ever pole in the ALMS and just his 5th start, and already running at the front.
We got to report some issue for the number 44 PR Newswire Lizards entry. And you can see it's struggling as it's trying to make its way up the long Mario Andretti straightaway. Not sure what the issue might be, but it is definitely off song. I mean, the engine sounds fine, but the car not tracking right. So let's check in with Jamie.
Just listening in on the team radio, Seth Nyman is radioing back to the team and said he feels like he has lost the right, I believe he said the right front tire. He will be pitting this lap so the team can evaluate it. Remember, in GTC, there is no use of live telemetry, so it's up to the driver to relay the information back to the team rather than the team looking at it live on their computer screens and relaying it to the driver. So Seth Nyman heads up right now, bringing the car into the team to look at.
Yeah, it's left rear actually looks as though something may have dislocated and they're just not quite right. As we take a look at that battle in the GT category right now, Bomarito leads it, but there, battle for second, and it is on. You've got Mark Goosen fending off Ollie Gavin. We hop on board with Oliver Gavin in the CompuWare Corvette as they're making their way up through 9, now into 10. And completing another lap, Jeremy.
Yeah, and splitting into 2 Vipers, that is the number 81, as you said, the Dragon Speed entry of Mishu Motors. There was a tie-up between Dragon Speed, which is owned by the Aronson brothers, and Elton Julian, a former driver, of course, for a few races with 8 Star Motorsports. That has now been dissolved again. Elton Julian and Pete Aronson have taken the team back under their own wing, so to speak. and they're continuing, though, to run Mirko Schultes and Renger van der Zende, a young Dutchman who's very, very quick, and Mirko doing the first stint in this car. And he's in a difficult position there because he's right in there amongst the GT leaders, so he's got to be a little bit careful, but he wants to run a good pace as well and not lose contact with the leaders in the PC class.
On board now, the number 55 Crown Plaza BMW Rahal Letterman Lanigan Z4. Bill Auberle at the helm, the car right in front, the team car, the 56. Dirk Mueller, the point leader in that car. And obviously, Joey Hand is here. He's back. He's racing with Dirk. And talked to Joey earlier, and he said, I'm here for one reason. That's to try and get max points, as Jamie was talking about, for Dirk, keep him in that points lead.
Yeah, and John Edwards was originally slated to drive the number 56 car this weekend, along with Dirk Mueller. Of course, John Edwards did a fabulous job at Limelight Park a couple of weeks ago, but Joey was available. He's looking for a win here, so there was no way they were going to keep Joey Hand out of this number 56 car.
Yeah, John's here. Saw him down talking to the teams, getting ready to go. There you see the number 44 Lizards entry. Whatever the problem was fixed in fairly short order, so they are back out and on track. Seth Nyman, team principal, has that car on track, going back to the P2 category. On board with their pole sitter, Mike Conway. A great story.
Yeah, it certainly is. He's another newcomer here to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Never driven with this team before either, but again, put the car on the pole position. But look here, he's under intense pressure here from Guy Cosmo in that 01 car. And Guy Cosmo and Scott Sharp, who shares that 01 car, the Extreme Speed Motorsports car, they've been struggling all weekend. I spoke to Guy this morning. Loosey-goosey was how he described the car throughout the testing and practice sessions. Really unhappy with the car. The back end of the car just wanting to step out most of the way around the racetrack, except, funnily enough, for the entrance to turn 3. But everywhere else, it was horrendous. They tried to set up from the 02 car yesterday in qualifying. Scott Sharp didn't like that, so they made some more changes overnight. And in the warm-up this morning, finally, the 01 guy's happy with the handling of that car. And Guy showing it here in the early stages.
And what is probably the worst car setup situation at this track? Loosey-goosey.
Poor boy. Yeah. It's so high speed here. This is the fastest track that we race on in the American Le Mans Series. The average speed in qualifying for the pole sitter just shy of 135 miles an hour. For the P2 cars, it's almost 130 miles an hour. So yeah, you don't want a car that's stepping out on you around here. There's not much room for error at all.
Boy, look at Guy getting one heck of a tow on the Mario Andretti straight. Moves to the outside as they come up now into turn 8. Brief dab of the brakes and flow through this corner early on with heavy fuel, probably down a gear as well. That might even change. But now we've got traffic. Right in front of them is Tony Burgess, one of the P1 cars, and it held up Conway. Cosmo looked like he might have a little bit of a run, but he had to dip the brake as well as they go around the JDX entry and Mike Hedlund, and that sort of put paid to it. So that stopped for a minute, but boy, look, just for an instant, like Guy Cosmo might have had the little bit of a run here. Boy, Conway trying everything he can right now, Jeremy, to try and get around Tony Burgess. That tells you just how quick these P2 cars are.
Yeah, it certainly does. And Tony Burgess here, local driver. It's his first race of the season with the Dyson Racing team. That Lola Mazda, he did drive a Lola Mazda in a few races last year, including right here, but that was the older car. That was the 2010 chassis. This is a 2012 car with the wider front end, the wider front tires, the larger front tires. So it's quite a different animal for those guys, for Tony Burgess and Chris McMurray to get used to. But I was talking to Chris McMurray this morning. He said the car is just fabulous to drive. It's so comfortable to drive, but to get the ultimate performance out of it, then you've got to step a little bit harder and take a few more risks. And for these guys who don't drive very often, it's tough to do. Boy, that was a tight moment.
Very, very.
The GTC leaders.
Yeah, it's Cooper McNeil sitting third in GTC, and they came up on him in a big hurry. And Guy was sort of forcing the issue a little bit. And look at that. I mean, we're now 7 laps in, and we're up to second for these guys in the GTC category. That gives you an idea of the difference in speeds and the closing rates. Conway trying to get down and underneath Tony Burgess. Because I think on certain parts of the track here, Conway feels that his P2 car is actually just a little bit quicker. And of course, for Burgess, he catches this traffic. He loses all that momentum that the P1 car in terms of the engine has. And that P2 car is just all over the back of him. And for Conway, frustrating, get out of Moss on that straight, that P1 power just gaps them again.
Well, it does two completely different configurations of car here. The P1 ahead of us, we're on board with the P2 car of Mike Conway. We'll look at the little Lola Mazda with its turbo engine just accelerate out of the corner. There's a turbo engine also in the level 5 Motorsports car, the HPD car with which we're on board now with Mike Conway, but that takes, it's a production-based engine, and the Lola Mazda ahead of it, that's very much a racing engine, and there's a lot more sophisticated electronics as well, and it really puts the power down very, very nicely.
Well, more radio chatter going on right now. Guy Cosmo talking to his team, the team telling him, we're looking at the data right now, you're much better under braking than that number 552 car, so just stay calm, remain where you are right now. When you get to about turn 3, that's where you should start to make your move. That's where he's better. So Guy Cosmo listening to the team, just gonna let it all play out, let Conway get in there, and then Guy's gonna make his move.
Oh man, and they just came up on the back of Seth Nyman, that trio, the P1 car of Burgess and the two P2 machines, and it compressed, went accordion big time, and Conway almost thought about trying to sweep the outside, and then went, no, it's Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. And that's all really well the crew telling you to try and make a move at turn 3, but I tell you what, to make a move at turn 3, that's a tall order. These cars, they're so fast. They do dab the brakes and down a gear or 2 into turn 3, but still, it's very difficult to make a pass. So we've seen several incidents there during the weekend, both in qualifying single car and also in some of the support races where people have tried to make a pass, and unless you're absolutely committed alongside, it can easily end up in tears.
This is second place in the LMP Challenge category. That is the number 8 of Chris Cummings, and he's got some pretty significant pressure right there from Charlie Shears in the number 18 and Tommy Dreesy in that white number 7. The bar 1 entries right now have the number 18, the Performance Tech McDonald's Ripman construction car. A little bit of a sandwich. Dreesy taking a look at Charlie. Not quite going to happen there.
No, you can't quite see. The class leader is Duncan Endy once again for RSR Racing, as he did 2 weeks ago at Lime Rock Park. Duncan Endy drove a brilliant first stint there. He actually put a whole lap on the field, and really all Bruno Junqueira had to do once he took over from Duncan Endy was bring it home. But this is the battle of the class right now in PC. The 3 cars battle away. Here is Charlie. Look at the inside, the top of the turn 2, not able to make it happen.
Incredibly close, and that's a spot. If you force the issue and there's contact, it's going to be big. And Charlie did exactly the right thing. However, he forgot there might be a car on his left shoulder, and the number 66 goes off, but fortunately got rid of a lot of speed for Ben Keating, and when he did get into the tires over there, it wasn't a hugely hard hit. But that's the deal. You know, you're passing and racing within one class, but there might be another class about. Got to have a track awareness is huge here.
Well, it is, and you're pretty busy in these cars. You know, there's a lot to concentrate on. You've got a fast corner coming up. You can't afford to make a mistake. And I guess he wasn't expecting that GTC car to still be alongside him on the entrance to that corner. We saw an accident almost identical to that last year. It was a lot more serious. This time, Ben Keating was able to get the car, slow down fairly well. He just kind of nosed in. I hope he might be able to continue this again here. Well, the GTC car is on the outside line there. Why he's hanging with the PC car going into the corner, I'm not quite sure. I think the smarter move by Ben Keating might have been just to ease off a little bit and let those cars go through. But it's an awfully difficult call for Ben Keating to make.
Listening in as Ben Keating radio back to the team, he said, I'm okay. The team saying, just be careful. It was a hard hit to the front. That's exactly where the radiator is. They're thinking he's probably out of water. Ben is going to try and get that Porsche back to the team so the team can further evaluate it, but he is not happy.
Well, understandably, he did kiss that wall on the way in there as well. We go back to the LMP2 category battle between Conway and Cosmo, the black at level 5 and the green ESM Patron entry. And boy, I tell you, Burgess just fast enough to stay in front and make this battle even more interesting because of the compression and accordion effect in certain spots, especially when they hit traffic.
Yeah, look at the relative fastest laps of these 2 cars. Mike Conway has done a 1:11.535. Guy Cosmo a 1:11.508. So nothing to choose between those 2 cars. As you say, though, tucked up behind Tony Burgess.
Justin Bell, the 66, is in.
Yes, it is. I think they're probably going to take it behind the wall. You see the fluid on the floor there. The trouble with the 911 configuration is that obviously a lot of cooling systems up front in the 911, even though obviously the engine is all the way at the rear. So they, I think, decided prudence is the right thing to do. I don't know. I can't see pit lane exit, guys, but he took off out of here. Either they said it was okay or he's heading behind the wall. You can pick that up.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. And that was a little bit harder hit than at first looked.
Yeah.
He got deep into those tires. And, oh, we're getting a report, a stop plus 60-second hold for the number 18 of Charlie Shears for avoidable contact.
Yeah,
So,
I can understand the penalty, but then again, I do think it's fairly harsh because, I mean, he was clearly Charlie Shears was going past there, and the GTC car, to my mind, all he needed to do was just breathe the throttle a little bit and give him, give the PC car the line into that corner. And certainly, it was Charlie's mistake. There was a car. It wasn't completely clear, but here he is again. More contact here. Well, yeah, but again, the O2 car, in that instance there, from my mind, the 18 car was completely alongside the O2 car, and the O2 car turned in. So it's been a rough few laps for Charlie Shears. And I think it's a little bit, that penalty on him is a little bit harsh, but in any case, he's going to come in.
Stop and go, plus 60, yes, they are dead serious.
Yeah, and I can see clearly he was asking on the radio whether they're serious about that. And I can understand that frustration because I can say, I think if Ben Keating had all he needs to do was just ease off the throttle just a little bit because he realised the PC was going past him much faster. Why hang out there on the outside line and put yourself in that dangerous position? So I think that's a bit of a harsh call. But again, it is certainly no doubt it's the responsibility of the passing driver to make it cleanly, but he did, in my opinion. He was 7/8 of the way past, and all the GCC guy needed to do was ease off just a little bit. But in any case, the penalty is being called. It is a stop and 60-second hold. That'll seem like an age, and it is an age, because he'll lose more than a lap.
well, and our crew that are monitoring these radios, Charlie was livid inside that helmet and dropped out the audio for him and then came back with a great comment from the crew saying, do the penalty, head out, do your job. Just stay calm. Don't let this rattle you. You can't afford to get rattled at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And so that's going to change things up just a little bit as Endy still leads. Now it's Dreesy second, Cummings third in the 8 car, then the 05 of Bennett. So that changes that up. We hop back on board with Mike Conway as this just fascinating battle for the lead in LMP2 continues. He over the 01 of Guy Cosmo, and they've gapped a little bit, the number 551 level 5 car of Scott Tucker. But these two guys just continuing to put on a show. Although Conway now, I think as they caught some of this traffic, he got a couple of good breaks and has actually opened that up just a little bit.
Yeah,
but
that was then
in front of him.
Yeah, that was then, and this is now coming into the final couple of corners here. A huge amount of traffic here, working their way through a bunch of GTC
Cosmo got
cars.
a huge run.
Yes.
Look at this. He's going to try him. Nope, not going to work.
No, and Guy Cosmo there, I think he decided discretion the better part of valor. He could have stuffed it down the inside, but he realized that Mike Conway was pretty busy with all those other cars around him, so Conway wouldn't have had time to look around him, and I think that's a really interesting point, because that's exactly what Ben Keating, I believe, should have realized in a GTC car earlier on.
And interestingly right there, you saw that Magnussen coming up just had a little bit of a kiss with Burgess as they went 3 wide in between the exit of 1 and the approach to 2. The different classes there, close moment as well. Mags really held up a little bit here, transitioning through Moss, and now is going to be able to pull over and continue to try and move up through the pack. He is, it's actually Antonio Garcia starting that car, and he's still 7th in GT at this stage, so he's got some work to do. You can see there's the Vulcan Tires car, which is 6th in that category, the next one that he would need to run down.
Yeah, and in front of Wolf Hensler, who's certainly moved up several positions. That car's been they've not been happy with that Vulcan Tires car all weekend long. It qualified pretty much at the back of the GT field, but now running in 6th place, as you say. So Garcia closing in there, but even when if and when Garcia gets past Wolf Hensler, he's still got about another 5 or 6 seconds to catch up with Bill Aldridge.
He's going to start losing his left front.
All right, and the GT battle right now is opened up just a little bit, and this one remains compelling. And you can see in spots, Cosmo just closes up, certainly traffic aided. and then it'll gap a little bit again when traffic goes the other way. The crew from Cosmo's team just radioing him that they think that the Conway is going to start abusing his left front just a little bit, and that if Cosmo actually just breathes it a little bit here. Oh, the Delta Wing at a crawl at the exit of turn 3. There it is. Oh, it was running so well, and now something clearly has gone seriously amiss.
Yeah, that's a shame because...
Again, I'm going again.
He's got it going again. So
I think it was just an oil pressure alarm. Was cycle the power, I'm going again.
Oil pressure alarm, reckons Andy Merritt there. That was the onboard radio. Back to Dave Price and the boys in the Delta Wing pit, and soon he's got that car underway again.
Start again. Can I box?
Yeah, you heard it.
Yeah, box, I think box.
No, last second dive, but that was the right thing to do. And he was talking about, with all the electronics on these cars, you get an oil pressure alarm like that. It kicks the car into what's called safe mode.
Pit lane.
So Andy down into the pits. Crew going to take a look. No doubt plug some electronics in and see what they can find out as to what might be causing this issue. Boy, frustrating considering just how quick that car had shown itself. And doing tires as well, yeah, while we're in.
Yeah, and fuel the car as well.
And of course, remember, this is a standard procedure in sports car racing. Often you take care of normal pit stop business before you start addressing the issue, especially when it's something perhaps in the electronics or engine system. So right now they've got the tire change, those very narrow Bridgestones on the front there, unique to the Delta Wing. And I imagine in a minute we'll see them popping off the engine hood to have a look. Guys, I will follow this story for you and come back to you when I find out a little bit more, but they have stuck a new set of Bridgestones on, refueled it, and now they're going into the rear engine cover.
Thanks very much, Justin. And again, this is very much a development year, but I think they were hoping with what they had seen in terms of the potential and the speed here, that maybe they would have a race where they could just go out and race it, and apparently not going to happen.
No, they've had all sorts of cooling issues on that car, and yesterday morning similar issues, that they changed the engine. You know, the car, when it runs, it's running very nicely. They've made a lot of progress with the handling of the car, but reliability certainly is still an issue. Also an issue is this battle for now what is second place overall is continuing apace.
And let's check in on GT and looking back in the order a little bit. We talked about it. Antonio Garcia has run down Wolf Hensler in that blue and green Falcon Tire Porsche. This now is the battle for the 7th spot, and Garcia starting at the very back of the pack, and he is there. He has caught him. Let's see what he's able to do as they get up to the end of the Mario Andretti Straight and into turn 8. Up and over that rise, he looks to the inside, and Wolf not making it particularly easy. This is a battle for position, and you wouldn't expect a driver of Wolf's caliber to just give it up.
No, indeed, and you know, Wolf, like I said, the Falcon tires have been struggling, but the car is certainly running better now, but the Corvette is closing inexorably.
So just talking with Dave Price here at the Delta Wing team, this morning they had an oil pressure sensor go bad, and of course they've just been indicated they lost oil pressure just now out on track, and what that does is it cuts obviously the engine down to a safe mode. What they don't know is if it's the sensor or they really have lost oil pressure. So we're going to have to follow this one, but of course when a sensor goes bad, guys, there's not a lot you can do with these complex electronics these days other than find out that you have the fault or that the sensor is faulty. So I'm sure they're going to be in the pits a little bit longer, but I really hope they get going again because they have been really impressive out here this weekend. Perhaps the best showing for this car, don't you think?
Without a doubt, just in terms of raw speed, and we've had an amazing showing on the track here, Justin. Both Antonio Garcia and Wolf Hensler duking it out and doing a little bit of argy-bargy of their own, and then coming after them, Klaus Graf trying to make the pass. Those two so embroiled in their race, he ground by as well. That's been absolutely furious, Jeremy.
It certainly has, and Wolf Hensler not making things very easy at all there for Antonio Garcia, who was thinking about making a pass around the outside at turn 3. Let's have a look here on the replay.
Yeah, gets up around the outside, then gets wide. And then right there, Hensler tracks out. Okay, they settle it down, and bang! Klaus is already committed down there, and Hensler transitioning the other direction. So traffic It's the nature of the beast in the American Le Mans Series. And at a track of this speed, you've made a commitment. You can't just suddenly lift, get all the weight transfer on the car to change up. You've got to, when you're committed, you're committed. We're on board now with Bryce Miller as he sits in his Paul Miller Racing machine. That's the Chopard Jewelry and Total Porsche, and is going after Tom Kimber-Smith, I believe.
Yes, indeed.
Starting driver, his first appearance here.
That's right. Another one making his debut here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Loves the racetrack here, but the Porsches have been struggling this weekend. Most of the tracks this season, even though the Porsche is probably the longest toothed of all the GT contenders, it's been competitive on pretty much all the tracks, but not this weekend. And Tom Kimber-Smith, he's relatively new to Porsches, but he is doing a good job here to hold off Bryce Miller.
That's tough, seeing the Delta Wing going behind the wall, we get the report. So the problem is a little deeper than anticipated, and they're going to have to make a long stop. What they do, though, is they'll get that car fixed, bring it back out again if they can, because this now just becomes an elongated test session for them to be able to get more data on that car. So let's take a look at what's going on in LMP Challenge, as we've seen some good battling there. And there is a look that is the number 81, Mirko Schultes, as he sits right now in the 4th spot. John Bennett right behind him in that Core Autosport LMP Challenge Oreca FLM chassis that runs as the spec class chassis, if you will, in this category. And this is in the Schultes-Bennett mode, the battle for 4th. And of course the 81 car, when they reverted to starting this in points after the quote-unquote abandoned qualifying session, that car started a bit back in the order, and Mirko has been giving it a very strong ride.
Yeah, he's doing well here, and he's actually managed to get past John Bennett. John Bennett, he's doing double duty this weekend, also driving in the GT3 Cup Series in the Porsche as well. So he's got plenty of track time this weekend, John Bennett, but a very different animal to drive the PC car and the GT3 car.
This is the battle that is in front of them. The white car, that is the Bar 1 Motorsports entry, the number 7 of Tommy Dreese, who sits in the 2nd spot right now. The one right behind him is the team car, the number 8 Evident Capital entry of Chris Cumming. So that is the battle for 2nd. Right now, Duncan Endy is up the road a bit. He really has done a superb job here in the early going. As Jeremy said, he did at Lime Rock in support with Bruno Junqueira going to be taking that car over, and has just been brilliant.
Yeah, and Tommy Dreese there we're watching in 2nd place. He won this race last year with Bruno Junqueira. Now he's chasing the same car with which he won the race last year. But yeah, Duncan Endy, stunning job. He's got a gap of, well, about half a minute almost now over the 2nd and 3rd place cars in PC. So once again, for the 2nd time in 3 weeks, Duncan Endy doing a stellar job in this number 9 car for RSR.
He really is, just working up through that battle for 7th in the GT ranks. He is just flying out there right now, and he's been busy. He's doing racing in other series as well, but he said these cars are something special, and he obviously has adapted incredibly well to this LMP Challenge machine.
He has, and chatting to him and Bruno Junqueira just a little bit while ago before the start, and they were both saying how happy they were with the car in race configuration. Bruno was saying, Bruno was impressed by the lap that Colin Brown laid down yesterday in qualifying, and also actually in the warm-up this morning. But still, Bruno was saying, he had a better lap going. Look at that, a big battle there. Yeah, big battle going on there for.
That's 2nd in that clap. Boy, I tell you, that was Cumming came after Dreese, and Dreese gave him a pretty good little squeeze, and you could see that plume of dust come off of Cummings' tires in contact. That got them both. Yeah. Charlie Shears getting into Chris Cumming as they got into turn 10.
And that was Charlie Shears. He was a lap down, of course, after that penalty, trying to make up some ground there. And this time he was definitely sticking his nose where it didn't belong, because the 2 cars ahead of him were a complete lap farther up the road than he was. So yeah, no, that's there's a definite miscue once again from Charlie Shears. So I'm going to look at this one perhaps on the replay.
Yeah, Cumming trying to get reversed onto the track. Here it is again, out of 9. Comes
down the inside into 10, but he's really only halfway alongside. He tries to get out of it to Charlie Shears, Well, it hardly looked like there was any contact there, but he was trying to get out of it, but he realized he'd made a mistake there and tried to pull back, but it was too late. I think maybe light contact between those cars and enough to spin around the number 8 car of Chris Cumming. That's a great shame for Chris Cumming and Kyle Marcelli, of course, a local driver here. A lot of fans here, a lot of family, a lot of sponsors on board here as well. So Kyle Marcelli really was looking for a good result this afternoon, but it's going to be a long way to come back from that.
I think it is. And Charlie, both cars eventually getting going. Boy, that was some great patience shown by race control to try and give those cars the opportunity to self-clean. And both have continued, but Charlie, you can see that car is crabbing, so he broke something in the back of that car. That's going to be a very, very long lap to try and get around if he indeed decides to try that. I think Cumming, he was just struggling to find reverse, and he did it. It was really a smart thing. What he did was he could not get reverse, so there's a little uphill gradient up and over that curb, and he just put it in gear, rolled it up a bit onto that curb, popped it into neutral, let it back off so he could get it turned. Very, very savvy by Chris Cumming. And boy, I'll tell you, this is that same battle we've been watching. And Antonio Garcia finally now gonna try and make the move down into 8. And let's see, Hensler trying to ramp the outside and finally does. And Garcia just not able to find a way cleanly through here. Now both trying to come around the GT Challenge entry of Mike Hedlund. Both get through that fairly cleanly. Nobody really held up too much in that. But every time Garcia tries to make a move, Hensler somehow has him covered so far.
Indeed, and there's no doubt that the Corvette is a good bit quicker than the Falcon Tires Porsche. Looking at their relative fastest laps so far, 1 minute 17.1 is the best that Wolf Hensler has done. 1:16.4, so 3/4 of a second quicker is the Corvette. But being faster and making a pass is really difficult. Great pass there around the outside at turn 3 by Antonio Garcia.
And then Garcia, obviously, just, when he got around him, showing a little bit of frustration, just gave him a little bit of a juke to let him know that he was a little bit off-put, perhaps, by the defense that Hensler had on. It was defensive, not blocking, but it was aggressive defense. And boy, I'll tell you what, now we'll see what Garcia is able to do after executing that stunning outside pass. Remember, it was in that corner where Mags went off and had the incident. So that was a brave, brave move by Antonio Garcia. And talk about a driver being confident in the car that his crew has provided him after a rebuild from a wreck. At the very corner it happened. Says a lot about these drivers and their feelings about Corvette racing. Down into 1. And let's see now, Hensler's not losing that much ground here. And see if he's able to stay with it, or now we'll see if Garcia is able to just find his rhythm and start to close up just a little bit. And we're getting a report that the 18, when it comes around, is going to just go straight into the paddock. They know they've got something broken on that car, and they can't get that fixed in pit lane cleanly. They go back into the paddock where they can pull it under the awning and get all hands working on that machine, hopefully get him back out again.
Yeah, great shame for those guys. The Performance Tech team has 2 podium finishes in a row coming in here. And it was Ryan Booth who took over from Charlie Shears at last race. Charlie Shears unable to make the race at Lime Rock due to some family and business commitments back here this weekend. It's gone wrong for him in a big way in the early stages of the race. Look there how Garcia is pulling away from Wolf Hensler, but he's got a big deficit to catch up with Bill Aublin. He's got about, I think, about 20 odd seconds now before he can catch up with Bill Aublin. So that's going to take a lot of heads down driving for Antonio Garcia.
Yeah, Auberlin running a 17.5, Garcia an 18 on that last lap as we hop on board that BMW of Bill Auberlin right now, sitting in the 5th spot, working through some of the GT Challenge machines. That the car of the point leader, Enrique Cisneros, 2nd in the GT Challenge category. As we hop on board with Bill Auberlin out of turn 3. Let's enjoy this ride for just a minute, folks. Well, there you saw a perfect example of the difference in the GT Challenge and GT category on that long straight. That red speck of the Lizard car didn't get bigger very much until you got into 8 and 9 where the arrow of the GT car comes into play, and then it changed up big time. As we are taking a look, there is the number 45 machine that once again leading in the GT Challenge category. Nelson Canache doing a superb job, and they're coming off of a win at Lime Rock Park. So great momentum for this number 45 E-Silicon Lizards car.
Certainly is. The 35-year-old Venezuelan here. That was his first win at Lime Rock Park. He, again there, as you were saying, did a super first stint. Spencer Capelli able to bring the car home from there. That Flying Lizard car was definitely the car to beat in GTC 2 weeks ago. Here, though, the Alex Job racing car, that's certainly been the fastest. Jerome Blakemolen put the car on the pole by a considerable margin, but in the first stint of this race, Flying Lizard once again to the fore in that GTC class.
And in the LMP2 category, this battle still this close. That's Conway in that number 552 with Guy Cosmo in the 01, the green machine right there. Behind them, both have been able to get around the 16 of Tony Burgess. And so now they're battling for second overall, these two P2 machines, Conway and Cosmo. And boy, I tell you, we've seen this play. Spots on the track, they close up. Other spots, it opens up just a little bit again.
Yeah, and that's behind Guy Cosmo, who's the second of the ESM cars. Ed Brown doing the first stint in that car. So Ed Brown has lost a lap to the first two cars in P2 inside the first 30 laps of the race. Still, I think Ed's, considering his lack of experience in these sort of cars, I still think he's doing a very respectable job on a very, very demanding race course.
Absolutely. And the guy who runs third in that class right now is the 551 level 5 car of Scott Tucker. So he's just a bit back of these guys at this point. And now Conway again running into mixed class traffic, trying to get around the outside of Pat Dempsey. Now he's able to get down and underneath that number 8 machine, and Guy Cosmo is going to get trapped there, not able to get through. Here comes Burgess trying to slice through the number 48 GT Porsche as we hop on board with the Chopard Jewelry Paul Miller Racing entry. And that is Bryce Miller doing the opening stint there. Marco Holzer, his co-driver, and there's Tommy Dreese sliding by. Right. Boy, so close.
Fantastic, and right behind him as well is the Tommy Dreese's second in the PC class. Right behind him, and probably coming past now on the straightaway, will be John Bennett in the 05 and Mirko Schultes, number 81 car as well. So a big battle going on for second place in the class.
There he comes, that's Schultes. So it looks like Schultes maybe was able to make the pass down into Moss and get through. So nicely done if that's indeed the case. Get back around. Meanwhile, we are watching here. That's the 02 we were talking about of Ed Brown. And right now it's just working his way by Cooper McNeil in that WeatherTech Alec Job GT Challenge Porsche. Currently running fourth in the category with Pat Dempsey in that silver Tully's Coffee machine just coming into your screen there, sitting fifth.
Yeah, hats off to Patrick Dempsey in the first stint. He's only a couple of seconds behind Cooper McNeil, who is the reigning class champion in GTC last year with that number 22 WeatherTech car for Alex Job Racing. And Patrick Dempsey hanging right with him.
Dempsey's first visit here to boot, so he's one of these guys with that near vertical learning curve getting around Canadian Tire Motorsport Park and doing a very nice job of it as we are on board with Tony Burgess. And I'm not sure whether there was a bump there or not, but it was exceptionally close. That was one of the TRG machines that Burgess was just working through and just made that move right down into Moss, into 5A and 5B. Very close, Jeremy.
It was, wasn't it? There's going to be close action all the way around and all the way through this 2 3/4 hour race. You see quite a vibration there from the onboard camera of Tony Burgess, but it could be that he's knocked some wheel weights off one of those wheels that causing that vibration. Hopefully it's not going to cause any lateral problems as well. He's still running out fourth place overall behind that P2 battle between Mike Conway and Guy Cosmo.
Here's the leaders in GT Challenge, the two SRT Motorsports Vipers, Jonathan Bomarito, the number 93 Pennzoil Ultra machine, and he's got about 2 seconds, but I mean, you can just see where they are on track. It's pretty close over teammate in the 91 Viper, Mark Goosens, and then that Corvette that will appear right behind. We got a cone sitting there in the middle of the track, but the Corvette of Ollie Gavin sits in the third spot right now, but 4 seconds adrift of these two Vipers.
Yeah, it's been a great opening stint for the SRT Viper team. These two cars, I mean, they're great-looking cars. They sound fabulous, they look good, and they're fast. Good combination, I'd
Yeah,
say.
that's a nice package, absolutely. And they are quick here. And, you know, the drivers have just said this car is just nicely suited to this track. And this team has done an amazing job of continuing to develop these cars in less than a year and find what works and exaggerate that, minimize what doesn't, as they really have hit the sweet spot here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And V10 has a very unique engine, though. I guess very unique is redundant. It's got a unique engine. Very nice sounding. How about that?
Doing these 16 6s, 16 7s, and life is really good. Just nice and smooth. Save your tires about another 20 minutes.
And if you can keep on doing 1 minute 16 6s, 1 minute 16 17s, then that's quicker than anybody else is managing in the GT class at the moment. The next fastest car in terms of lap time, Oliver Gavin has done a 16.3. Dirk Mueller and Bill Aublin, two BMWs, they've done 16.6 and 16.7. But the best of the Vipers have a 16.2 for Bomarito and a 16.3 for Bomarito, 16.2 for Mark Goosen. So the Vipers at this stage in the game have the legs on everybody else in GT by a few tenths of a second, that's all.
It's impressive. There is Klaus Graf, who's comfortably up front in P1 and overall right now, consistently running laps in the 111s, even dipping into the 110s, looking very comfortable at this point. You know, listening to the radio for Jonathan Bomarito, Jonathan is a California guy, very laid back, and I think the guy, his communicator on the radio on the other end speaks his language. That was very California cool in the way they were having those discussions about what he needs to do.
Tell you what, though, that number 6 car is out in front. Klaus Graf, he's got no real competition, but his best lap this turn was a 1 minute 06.897, which is almost 2 seconds quicker than they managed in the race last year. That's fairly amazing to me. The outright track record here in race configuration was Marco Werner back in 2008 in the Audi R10 TDI, did a 105.8, so within a second of the lap times turned by those way more powerful turbo diesels 5 or 6 years ago. That's amazing.
That is truly amazing. And, you know, obviously we've talked about this is a different chassis that raced here last year, that the 03C variant that's got a whole different front end treatment on it. Clearly it's working.
Yeah, certainly is. Yeah, the major part of the car is the same. As you say, completely different front end on the car, which they tried last year, and they tried before the first round of Sebring this year, elected to go back to the proven configuration for Sebring and the first few races of the season. But then they did some testing with these larger and wider, larger front tires and the wider track on the front, and they ran it for the first time in the race at Lime Rock Park a couple of weeks ago, and it was working very, very nicely there, and they figured, oh, this is the sort of track it's going to work at as well, so it's clearly doing the job here. But to go that much faster than last year, particularly with no competition, that is pretty astonishing.
It is indeed. That is your two Vipers leading in GT, coming up on that battle in the GT Challenge category for fourth between Dempsey, the first car they'll reach, the silver Tully's Coffee Porsche, and right in front of him is the white WeatherTech AJR entry of Cooper McNeil, defending class champion, running in fourth. And those two Vipers will be coming up on them in fairly short order. There goes Klaus Graf, and as he folds it down into turn one, as you talked about, just a superb pace. And that's a difficult thing, isn't it? When you've got a lead the size that these guys do, it can sometimes be a challenge in and of itself to just keep your head in the race a little bit and keep focused. But after the qualifying, we had the interview with Klaus Graf yesterday, and he made the comment, he goes, this track you must always maintain complete focus, because if you don't, even with the improvements here in terms of the runoffs and the like, it will bite you. If you're going to drive this track, it doesn't matter what your scenario is, focus.
Yeah, you're right, and you know, there's no doubt it's disappointing for the team, for us, for everybody here watching, that there isn't more competition for the Muscle car this weekend. Chris Dyson, Dyson Racing elected not to run Chris and Guy Smith for the next few races. They're concentrating on trying to get ready for next year, and at the same time Tony Burgess and Chris Murray wanted to drive a few races as well. But they know they're not as quick as Chris or particularly Guy Smith. But the good news is that the Rebellion Lola Toyota will be back at Road America and for several other races this season. So, you know, for the Muscle Milk guys, they've got their eyes on the big picture, the championship. They've got a commanding lead in that championship, but they also want to make sure they keep up with the development of the car. So if and when there is more competition, they're ready for it and not taken by surprise.
I think it's a very smart move on a couple of different levels. And you talk about the Rebellion team, of course, they're running a full European program as well and doing some prep for the 2014 season in the latter half of this season, and just decided we are going to have to step back from a couple of races and really focus on a couple of the others. I think the drivers and the team would have loved to have come here just because of this track and what it presents in terms of challenges, certainly for the drivers, but it's just a matter of scheduling more than anything else as we continue to watch Klaus Graf and that Muscle Milk Pickett Racing HPD machine, and we're getting a report over the radio that they're problem for the Falcon tire, Porsche, and it looks like something. Yep, exactly. I was just going to say that Graf reports on within 5 laps of making their first pit stop. That Falcon tire Porsche will be pitting much sooner than that. Hopefully, that tire will stay on it to get him into pit lane. Yeah, that was a major tire failure there coming up the Mario Andretti straightaway. So he'll be bringing that car in right now, but the battle... Something amiss for the core LMP Challenge car, Jonathan Bennett, running suddenly very much off pace. Yeah, he was involved in that battle for second, third, and fourth in PC, and now falling back dramatically. But in the meantime, Duncan Endy still romping away at the front. He's got a lead of about 40-odd seconds now over Tommy Dreesy, who's running in second place for Bar 1 Motorsports. I think the battle for P2 is hotting up as well. We're not seeing pictures of it just at the moment, but Mike Conway is running second place overall, but Guy Cosmo in that ESM car, the 01, has closed in again. So that battle is being rejoined at the front of the P2 field. Yeah, the last time by the monitors showed a half second, this time by a tenth. So that battle is fierce, and here we go in GT. There is Bomarito with Goossens right line astern as they're coming up to put a lap on the GT Challenge class leader, Nelson Canachet, and they both swing out to do that, and I think that might be Scott Tucker behind them in the 551 level 5 entry, which he'll run to the first stop and get out, and then will no doubt get into the 552 that Conway is driving at the second stop. Everybody past Nelson Canachet, and they continue this battle up front. And you know these two Vipers right now, they're not racing each other. They're just trying to work each other, draft together, and keep building that margin and get clear of what is an extremely stout GT field. Yeah, I think we just got a glimpse there of the 05 car, John Bennett, the fastest car in qualifying in PC, bringing that car onto pit lane. You saw it going slowly a lap or two ago, and that making a pit stop now. It's just about 46 minutes into the race. In the Pro-Am classes, the amateur driver has to do a minimum of 1 hour at the wheel of the car in order to be classified at the end of the race. It's only 46 minutes into this race, so John Bennett now would not be in a position, assuming there's no major problem with that car, he wouldn't be in a position to be able to hand it over to Colin Brown to do the rest of the distance. So he'll have to do another stint in that car. The PC cars, they can generally do just about an hour on the temporary fuel. I was talking to the RSR guys just before the race. It's marginal, and certainly the way Duncan Endy is running, very, very fast indeed. He might have to stop before the hour, in which case he'd have to stay in again and do a second stint in order to complete that minimum driving time of 1 hour. So it's going to be interesting to see how that strategy plays out. The other guys are going a good bit slower. They've lost about 45 seconds, so almost probably about a second a lap to Duncan Endy. But if they can get to the hour and then change to their faster drivers, that could be significant. And, oh boy, the problems just compound for the 05 Core Autosport machine. A pit lane speed violation, so a stop and go will be brought on. And Scott Tucker is just struggling to get by these two Vipers. And the problem is where he's strong, he just can't get to the outside or ramp, use the downforce of the car. So he's just now, let's see, is he going to try and do an outside move down into turn 4? And sometimes you've got to, and he couldn't do it. Goossens, there just wasn't the room to let him through. And the problem is, whoops. But Bomarito straight off up at the top of Moss. Goossens into the lead. That allows Tucker through as well. So, boy, not sure if that was what may have happened right there. But, man, that just suddenly you could just see some smoke, some lockup of some sort up into Moss. And, again, that paved runoff, that just saved not only the car from an incident, but it saved us from a caution. So we're already seeing the benefits of the changes here at this track.
Yeah, so we've still got a Viper in the lead, but now it's the other car, the number 91 car of Mark Goossens. And there is Scott Tucker still behind him as we see a glimpse again of John Bennett serving that penalty. So a costly miscue there for Core Autosport in their quest for a third consecutive team championship in PC.
The 05 in for its penalty as we go on board with Bomarito at this point. And he is back in. That was his stop and go for the pit speed violation. And he is back out again. The 01, Guy Cosmo, into the pits for their first stop. Tires at the ready. Yeah, this is, I guess, about on schedule. A little bit earlier than I would have anticipated, but I think we're going to see all the prototype cars coming around about this time. It's a scheduled stop. Guy Cosmo staying on board. The race leader is also in the pits as well. And the number 6 of Klaus Graf in for his stop. There he is, hits his marks, and looks like he will.
Fuel only. The guys are going to just check out the car. Fuel only is the plan.
So there you hear the call. Fuel only. That means same tires, same driver, and they just doing a walk around, looking at the car as they're topping that beautiful HPD ARX 03C chassis with the Muscle Milk Pickett Racing team getting it ready to go back out. And there you go, fuel in.
Done, let's go.
Graf back out. That's how you do it.
Good job, good job.
It is, and the 01 car also has made that back out onto pit lane. The 551 of Scott Tucker also making its first pit stop right now. And as you were saying a little while ago, Greg, Tucker will get out of the, well, actually, you can't get out of the car because he's only done 50 minutes, so he will stay on board for a second stint here, and then he will finish the race in the number 552 car.
It's interesting why maybe the 01 pitted. I wonder if Cosmo was significantly, because he'd reeled in the 552 of Conway, he'd reeled him in, and if he just, the 16 of Burgess struggling here. I think he just missed his pit.
Yeah, I think he did, and he's told there to go around by the team. That's easier said than done because he's committed himself to making a pit stop there. Fortunately, he didn't hold up the PR1 Matheson guys in number 52 coming into pit lane as well.
So there you hear the call from the team. Yep, just put another lap in and then come on in. But again, these guys haven't raced this season, certainly in this car. And in their defense, those fender wells on these cars now running the big front tires, it obscures so much vision and the like that he may have just missed it. And the 16 also speeding in and out of the pits as the number 93 Viper, who had started from pole, led most of the race in the GT category, pits from the second spot. And Jonathan Bomarito, we watched him, you could see he was just shaking his head a little bit. He was pretty frustrated, I think, with what happened, and he's just chomping at the bit to get back out and make it work. Here are your class leaders. We'll be back.
You did it. You solved Corman's enigma. How did you do it, Professor?
Professor? No, I'm not a professor. I'm just here to see my daughter. She's a dance major. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Deltran battery tender battery chargers. Just like the everyday consumer, the racing community knows the importance of a healthy charge. Deltran battery tender is the trusted charger for some of the most respected brands in the world today. Don't let a dead battery ruin your fun or work. If you can't start it, you can't drive it. Connect a Deltran battery tender battery charger to all of your batteries. Available at these fine retailers. If it's not a Deltran battery tender, it's just a pretender.
Doc? Doc? Goose!
Our technology builds some of the best tires in the world.
Because when it comes to performance, we don't just play around.
Cheater, we said no 360s.
Who's up for some leapfrog?
Rated E for everyone. We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
August 9th to the 11th, the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron is gearing up to head to Wisconsin for the Orion Energy Systems 245 at Road America.
And it is green.
Watch all the action unfold as all 5 classes fight for position and struggle to be the first to the checkered flag.
Going into the last corner, it's now or never.
Stream the live qualifying show Saturday on ESPN 3. Tune in on Sunday to watch all the action unfold live on ABC.
You are going to want to watch that race, folks. The closest ever finish in American Le Mans Series history at Road America. So, you know that one's going to be a barn burner. We are at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for this 5th round of the American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron, the SportsCar Grand Prix. And right now, we are approaching an hour into this 2-hour and 45-minute race. There, in the middle of that scrum, that red, white, and black prototype is Klaus Graf, Muscle Milk Pickett Racing, starting from the team's 4th consecutive pole here and going for their 4th consecutive win. And right now, pretty much have it completely their own way overall and in the P1 category. But elsewhere, we've got some racing.
We certainly have. We've got some great competition going on here. The 01 car of ESM Extreme Speed Motorsports, Guy Cosmo, has just taken the lead in P2, second place overall, after both of the P2 leaders have made their first pit stops. Mike Conway came in a few moments ago for Level 5 Motorsports. Guy Cosmo was in a few laps earlier, and the positions on the track, I believe, have changed since they came into the pits. It was Conway leading, it's now Cosmo leading, so that battle is going to go on. And what's interesting there to me is that if Guy Cosmo can maintain that position, then Mike Conway is going to have to hand over to Scott Tucker, who certainly isn't as quick as Scott Sharp. So it's looking pretty good now for Extreme Speed Motorsports, I would say, and the 01 car. And that's good news for them after struggling really badly all the way through the last couple of days here.
Yeah, they've worked hard at getting that car turned around, and it seemed to have hit it at the right time as we are watching Klaus Graf leading. Give you a look, if you're just joining us, on what may have unfolded here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. At the start, a great launch, as you would expect, by Klaus into the lead. There's the Delta Wing that was showing some extremely good turns of speed here in some of the sessions, and we're very, very excited about the possibilities after the morning warm-up, as Graf able to just drive off into the distance a little bit and open up a pretty substantial lead in short order. We expected that to happen, and he was able to do just that. And you know, that team has had such an incredible run here. However, that LMP2 battle, Jeremy, was furious, caught up behind Tony Burgess in the LMP1 Dyson entry.
That's right. The 552 there of Mike Conway and the 01 of Guy Cosmo having a tremendous battle all the way through the first 45 minutes or so of this race before Cosmo was the first to blink and come onto pit lane. But that earlier pit stop might have just paid dividends because it's come out of the pits in the lead in P2.
Lots of moments as close as that, and then problems for the Delta Wing, and all of that optimism vanished with a problem in the car. This now an oil pressure. They thought it was a sensor. Turns out it was perhaps actually the oil pressure itself, and that radical looking machine back behind the wall. And that was it for them. Meanwhile, Graf just continued to build his margin and stretch that advantage out just a little bit. And Lucas Luhr will be the driver getting on board the car. It's Klaus's birthday today, Lucas's tomorrow. Big weekend for them, Jamie.
Muscle Milk Pickett Racing looking to get 4 consecutive wins on the season at this point. Klaus Graf in the car right now, just doing his job. They've already made their first pit stop. It was fuel only, so everything is running to plan at the moment. But Lucas, when you're in a race at a track like this, how difficult is it to maintain that concentration?
It's very difficult, especially if you don't have a big challenger or you don't have somebody to fight against, really, you know. But the main thing is here the traffic, so you have to be focused all the time. And we found out in the past that the best thing to keep your rhythm is just, you know, push as hard as you can, and that's the best way of finding your concentration and keep the motivation up.
Their team looking to celebrate both the win today as well as birthdays for Klaus Graf and Lucas Lohr. Happy birthday tomorrow.
And let's take a look at what's unfolded thus far in GT. Yesterday, the big story was this moment. Jan Magnussen in qualifying, just getting a little wide, hit a bump, and it skated that car a little bit over the edge of the curb, augured it into the dirt, sent it flying, eventually hitting the tires, kissing the wall. Pretty substantial damage to that car, and a long evening for the Corvette racing team.
And an estimated $200,000 worth of damage to that Corvette.
And they got it fixed. He came out, and from way back, dead last on the track, Antonio Garcia laying this pass on Wolf Hensler around the outside of that same corner, showing immense faith in what that crew was able to do and get that car back underneath these two drivers, and that picked up the spot. Now, Jonathan Bomarito from Pole have been leading strongly. Suddenly, a little bit of smoke, tire lockup, just skated a little wide up into the top of Moss, and that let teammate Mark Goossens through. Still, the Vipers having an incredible run. Justin.
What a place for Viper to bear their fangs, and all through qualifying, and with Jonathan Bomarito leading from pole all the way up into that little slip up, and he went out wide and let Mark Goossens by. The fans here, the crowds, Viper fans all over the world, very excited to see that the snake definitely is back, and it really does show the intensity of the GT battle. It takes so much for any manufacturer to make their way to the top of the field in GT against Corvette and BMW and Ferrari and Porsche, and so to see Viper doing it certainly at the beginning of this race has been very impressive. We just saw a driver change as Kuno Wittmer didn't get in the car, but Dominic Farnbacher did do a driver change with Mark Goossens. So a little bit of strategy play coming into effect here, but I tell you what, everyone really excited to see the GT battle as good as it ever is.
Oh, it is that, and we're on board with Oberlin in the 55.
And we saw Bomarito run wide there at turn 5. He made a pit stop shortly thereafter, and also was caught speeding on the pit lane, so they had to make another stop and go penalty as a result of that. So that's dropped the number 3 car quite a long way back to 7th place in GT.
Meanwhile, Oberlin coming into the pits, bringing that 55 in for its first stop. He has teamed with young Maxime Martin, the Belgian, who has proven to be awfully impressive. Lots of poles in Europe this year and some racing there, the Blunt Pain Series. And there's the change, Jamie.
And we are seeing a driver change to Joey Hand getting behind the wheel of the car. Joey has not raced this car since in the middle of May at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. He's been racing over in Europe in the DTM series. He told me this car is as good as he's ever felt here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. He's excited for the race today. He's just looking to continue on the success that the team has had.
That's the role right now with one of the team drivers, Dirk Mueller, leading in that points championship. Joey coming in to do the support, and it does look like Maxime going to replace Oberlin in that car. So both of the cars are going to be busy. And boy, talk about driver lineups.
That's exactly right. The last time around, the Mueller car came on. Dirk Mueller brought the number 56 car onto pit lane. Joey Hand took over the wheel of that car, and now Bill Oberlin brings in the 55 and hands over to Maxime Martin.
Got this beautiful aerial shot watching some of the action here, and there was just a little bump there between a couple of cars. Look at that, 3 abreast, or trying to go 3 abreast up into 8, and oh, that really balked that machine. Look at this, here it is, a huge move, and not exactly sure what happened there. But, oh, man, all 4 of the P2 cars in that shot, mixing it up with action in the other classes as well. And that cost Guy Cosmo. He actually lost that lead as Conway now has gone to the front. And I think I saw Ed Brown bring the 0-2 down into pit lane, Jeremy.
Yeah, all sorts of shuffling going on there. The 5.52 of Mike Conway and the 0-1 of Guy Cosmo exchanging positions several times over the last few laps. A great battle going on there as Ed Brown, as you say, brings in the 0-2 car. He's completed his hour minimum driving, so Johannes van Overbeek will take over the wheel of the number 0-2 car and continue on from here to the end of the race.
Just some incredibly good racing here. There we are on board with Mr. Conway. His first ever visit here to this track. He does have experience, we've talked about, in the P2 cars, running a very competitive race in that category at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, doing some WEC racing as well. Also tends to put on the odd good performance in Indy cars.
He certainly does. Yeah, he's a very versatile driver and a very underrated driver, at least for much of his career. Former British Formula 3 champion, and that takes is no mean feat.
Indeed.
He's a winner in GP2. He won on the streets of Monte Carlo in GP2 car. That's not bad either. And he's a star at Le Mans in the P2 class this year. So a very versatile driver and loving his opportunity here to drive at level 5 at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
Let's give you an idea of what's going on in some of the other classes we talked about. Groff leads overall P1, Cosmo, Conway, Tucker, 1, 2, 3 in P2. Duncan Endy, wow, that was a close moment. Duncan Endy leading.
That was an ESM car. That must have been the 02 car coming out of the pit
lane. I bet
okay,
that's
fine.
Yeah.
Because there is Guy Cosmo coming through turn 3 here.
Yeah.
So Cosmo has the lead in P2. Excellent job he has done. He was very patient in his opening stint. Great pit stop by the ESM crew. Ooh, dear me, there's a bit of a miscue there as Chris McMurray runs over the curb at turn 5, and Guy Cosmo does well not to make contact with the 16 car.
Yeah, Guy really on his toes, and he did this at Lime Rock Park 2 weeks ago. When he got into that car, he really put in an amazing stint at the end of the race to open up the margin. Then a yellow came out, and it was all for naught, then the contact and the like. But some very, very close stuff. This is a look at that moment in Lime Rock. Got balked just a little bit on this restart on board there. That was Ryan Briscoe getting into the back of Cosmo, shoved him off. Big, big moment here as he gathered it up, just touched the barriers. He continued on and ended up finishing second on the track.
At Lime Rock, we had 2 separate incidents. One was a contact issue that was being evaluated for whether or not there should be a penalty assessed. Shortly after that, we had a significant contact incident with the 62 car and the 22 car, which got the majority of our attention because our focus is on safety. We have in the regulations expressly illustrated that if there is a late race penalty, that will follow a particular procedure in assessing the penalty, and within that the podium results will stand while we evaluate if and whether or not there should be a penalty and what that might be. And that's there in the interest of giving us the time to do the due diligence to issue a penalty correctly, rather than trying to rush the process at the end to get something jammed in before the podium occurs. We want to be able to give the same degree of due diligence to a late race incident as we're able to do early on in the race.
So that was the official word. In essence, level 5 kept the win, but they were penalized, ended up with 3rd place points and 4th place points. Cosmo and co-driver Sharp got winning points, and so that's some solace, obviously, but they didn't get to claim they got the win, and obviously that's frustrating them just a little bit. And I think Cosmo just once again getting behind the wheel of that car and just saying, well, the only way we can do this is get to the front and show what we're capable of. And that's what he's doing.
Yeah, don't get mad, get even. But try and get even without being mad. Yeah, super job by Cosmo here. But Mike Conway, I think, his plan's closing in a little bit here once again. That battle continuing in P2. Scott Tucker running 3rd in the P2 class, but now a whole lap behind the 01 and the 552. And Scott Tucker will hand over the number 551 to Marino Franchitti to finish off the race, whereas Mike Conwell will hand over to Scott Tucker again. So Scott Tucker, the team owner at Level 5 Motorsports, going to be a busy guy, but I think Marino Franchitti is going to have his work cut out if he's going to wrest away the class victory from the Extreme Speed Motorsports team at this stage.
Yeah, he needs a little bit of help.
He does.
And it's a bit of role reversal here, isn't it? Because in the first hour of the race, it was Mike Conway trying to find a way by Tony Burgess in the Dyson car, and now it's Cosmo trying to find a way by Chris McMurray, and Conway, as a result, has reeled them in. And Conway, boy, did he get a run out of 3 right there. Cosmo going a little bit defensive, down through 4. and the run up into Moss, and that's where they just really close it up on the back of McMurray a little bit.
Yeah, the boot on the other foot here, isn't it? Because in the early stage of the race, it was Tony Burgess driving number 16.
That helps. Overtake button. Hold it down.
The Lola Mazda for Dyson Racing, and it was Guy Conway who was trapped behind him and Cosmo behind that. Now it's all changed for the same situation.
Right, and of course the issue is once they get onto the straight coming out of Moss, that P1 car just has more engine in it in terms of power, and so drives away, and they can't get that pass done.
What a cool view of this. We're watching aerial pictures here of Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, a big crowd on hand, and just a great atmosphere here. And it is now, you can see on the picture, the new media center and hospitality suites are overlooking turn 10, the new entrance to the racetrack between turn 9 and 10. It now really is a world-class facility.
It is. You can see that new building just off to the left, about a third of the way down on the screen. It's just, this place has turned into something very special, unrecognizable in some ways when you drive into it at first and you see the building, you see the new tunnel, you see the layout, the new registration and main gate area, just phenomenal. And they're expanding things around. And then of course you can see some of these areas where they've paved over the runoff, and they've opened up the area down there in Moss at the far top of your screen right there. That's Moss 5A, 5B, 5C. And just gives you a great idea of this layout. And one thing it shows you here, doesn't it? Fast, flowing. That's what this track is all about.
Yeah, it just follows the terrain here. A fabulous racetrack. I mean, all the drivers love it. It's not for the faint of heart, but it's certainly they've done a super job here to improve the safety nature of this track over the years, and they've also improved it vastly for spectators too. They've terraced some of the areas overlooking turns 3 and 4 particularly to give campers a much better vantage point and level ground for the campers as well.
Really looking ahead, they are doing exactly that, and the driver training center is being expanded. That's up on the top of your screen now. That area, there's the go-kart track, just so much that's unfolding here. And you know, some serious developments have been done, but there's one in particular that the drivers are welcoming big time, and Brian Sellers of the Falcon Tire team explains why.
There's been a lot of modifications done at this facility over the off-season, but the single most important one from a driver's perspective is safety. As you can see behind me here at turn 2, what used to be grass is now asphalt. The difference between the grass and the asphalt is with the grass, when we would hit it, the car would speed up and we'd hit the tire wall. Now with the asphalt, we have time to respond and react to the mistake that was made and hopefully save our race.
And we are now riding with the number 4 Corvette, Tommy Milner at the helm of the CompuWare entry, and it has assumed the lead in GT over the number 91 Viper of Dominic Farnbacher, the 56 BMW of Joey Hand, the 55 of Maxime Martin, and then the number 3 Corvette of Jan Magnussen now up into 5th.
Yeah, just behind number 4 Corvette there, which is leading the class, is the GTC leader. That's number 27 car, Patrick Dempsey. Hats off to him, doing a super sterling opening stint in the number 27 car before handing over to Andy Lally. A couple of other guys have made pit stops already in that class, and Patrick is leading the class. There is the Viper coming alongside him. That is currently second place, the number 91 car. The positions there between the Viper and the Corvette changed during that first round of pit stops. And as we talked about, number 3 car has fallen quite a long way out of contention as a result of an additional stop and go penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Absolutely. Milner is doing a nice job right now. As you pointed out, leading it, actually has a lap car in between he and Dominic Farnbacher in the Viper. And this great multi-class racing in the P2 category. Well, here's the story, and it is right now the, Cosmo got past. There is Cosmo, and the 552 Conway was able to get by him in some of this traffic and now leads as they head down into turn 1. We hop on board with Conway in that Alpina Watches Siemens Level 5 HPD ARX 03B as he continues to try and find a way by Chris McMurray. So Cosmo has slipped a second.
He has, and Conway has been absolutely flying. He has set a fastest lap in that class, a 1:11.062, wow, just a couple of laps ago. And as you can see, he's pulled out quite a margin over Guy Cosmo, and he's managed to get around Chris McMurray as well.
Boy, he had to do that the difficult way, didn't he? Again, just forcing the issues, just tightening up on the exit of 3 a little bit, getting underneath, and then able to drive around the outside through 4. And now, on a lap, he's quicker, certainly, than McMurray. And now that he doesn't, if he can keep McMurray behind him down this straight with all of that power in that P1 engine, he's going to be in great shape, because no matter what Cosmo does right now, he still is going to have to deal with McMurray, and he could not find a way around him. So Conway just continuing to prove awfully impressive here. And we're going to go back and show you just how Conway was able to take that lead away from the 0-1. Here it is, and in traffic, and there you go. Moss hairpin bottled up.
Yeah, poor Guy Cosmo there, bottled up behind the Chris McMurray car, and had to clamber over the curbs on the inside as well. Boy, that was some hairy moments down there at Moss Corner. Wow.
Now what's going to happen here is Cosmo chooses, and he ends up behind one of the challenge cars, and Conway decided to go with McMurray in the P1 car, and it opened it up. Watch this, folks. That's Cosmo. You just see him. And not going to happen. There goes Conway.
Yeah, Cosmo has to lift off there, go at Mario straight away, and Mike Conway sees the opportunity, dives to the inside and then to the outside to go around the JDX Porsche and around the outside of him into turn 8, and he came out of that with about a 3-second advantage. Great driving, opportunistic driving from Mike Conway, and he's really put the hammer down. He's just turned the fastest lap of the race, his fastest lap of the race, 1:11.019. Meanwhile, Janus van Overbeek has gone even quicker in the O2 car. He's at a 10.9. Couple of laps down, however.
Fantastic. Boy, that was some serious bob and weave threading the needle by Mike Conway. That was some great driving. Now in GT, we've got ourselves a battle that's shaping up again. Traffic, and has allowed Dominic Farnbacher in the 91 Viper to close right up on the rear deck of Milner in that Corvette. It's this close, and they are trying to get through some of the cars in their class. Keep in mind that those 2 Porsches in front, they're trying to stay on the lead lap. They do not want to let him by because they don't want to go down the lap. That is causing Farnbacher to close up, and also bringing him right with it is the number 56. Joey Hand has caught this group as well and are awfully close at this point. Meanwhile, Milner continuing to hang on, and Oliver Gavin, co-driver in that car, Jamie, must be nervous.
We've seen the track change a lot over the course of the weekend. Oliver Gavin did the opening stint in the number 4 Corvette. Ollie, what condition is the track in come race time?
Oh, it's in fantastic condition. I mean, they've done a brilliant job with the facility here. Ron Fellows and his team have just turned it around. It's wonderful. It's quick. It's still challenging. There's improved the safety here. The great new facilities. And we've got a great race here. So, Tommy's in the lead, and he's doing a fantastic job in that Corvette.
We've seen the battle between Corvette, BMW, SRT Viper all weekend long. What are the strengths of the Corvette here?
Well, I think actually we're kind of like in between the BMW and the Viper, really. The BMW seems to be the fastest thing in the corners. The Viper's definitely the fastest thing up the straight, and we just seem to be right in the middle of the two, and maybe we've got the best balance of the two. It seemed like the BMW couldn't quite hang with us on the straight there. Managed to get past him on that first lap, but then I hung on just behind the Vipers, and their tyres started to go away towards the end, and we just nicked the lead just in that last sort of few laps. So, like I say, Tommy's in the car now, and we're pushing on through to hopefully get a victory here. It's been a little while since Sebring, so we're hoping for that victory today.
Tommy and Ollie, your defending GT champions. Justin Bell.
Mark Goossens, what a moment. You've been involved with the development of this program right, I think, from the first wheel that was turned in the new SRT Viper. For you to pull into the pit lane in the lead of your class at this race, it must have been amazing.
Yeah, we do better now finishing it off than what we did at Long Beach. But no, it's great. I mean, this team, SRT Motorsport, has done such a great job in bringing those cars to this level. And you know what, the cars running flawless. It's all about tire management, I think. I think that's where I had a little bit an edge over the 93 car. I think they were struggling a little more keeping the tires up. But both cars were running fine up front. And I can't tell you how proud I am of these guys. And within a year, we're leading 1-2. Viper GTSR is great, man.
Yeah, the snake certainly is back. I'll let you follow the racing. It's certainly hot action down here in the pits, guys.
Absolutely, and it was interesting. We were listening to Ollie talk about some of the changes to the track and the safety, and as we had that, you saw Milner as Tucker gets out and turns this car over to to Mr. Marino. We're going to send it down to Jamie.
We're going to see Scott Tucker get back behind the wheel of the car, but next time it'll be the number 552. He had to get out of the 551 now so that he can get some water, catch a little bit of a break. He's declared this his points car, so now he's handing over duties to his co-driver Marino Franchitti, who will hopefully bring home a win for Scott so that he can get some maximum points. Marino, though, leading the P2 championship right now. It was a clean stop for level 5.
That's some good motivation for Marino to get the team owner points when you're leading it. It gets you points as well.
That's right, because Marino leads currently by 3 points over Scott Tucker, because they've been switching cars between those two teams all the way through the season, between those two entries all the way through the season. Meanwhile, though, Scott Sharp and Guy Cosma in their 0-1 car, they are tied on points with Scott Tucker.
Expecting a pit by our leader in the GT Challenge category in a minute. And Marino coming up on some traffic. That is the number 45 that currently runs second in the GT Challenge category.
Yeah, and that's the only guy that hasn't yet made a pit stop in GTC is the number 27 car of Patrick Dempsey, who's really done a fine opening stint in that car. It'll be, I believe he's in the pit lane actually as we speak right now. He just brought number 27 car into the pit lane. It shows up on our timing monitor here. He's leading by about 28 seconds over Spencer Pumpelly, who has taken over from Nelson Canachet, and then about 10 seconds behind Pumpelly is Jerome Blakemolen, who took over from Cooper McNeil in car number 22.
Yeah, Dempsey, just an incredible run that he's put in. It is, again, folks, his first visit to this track, and is doing a superb job.
Yeah, I think it's his best run yet this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I was getting at, I remember during that interview with Ollie, when Milner sort of forced the issue on Pat Long down into turn 1, Long ran off, and prior to this year, that would have probably been a pretty big incident for Pat Long. And with that paved runoff, he just went off, was able to gather it up, bring it back on track, and continue. That's the improvements that the drivers are finding to be so special here. Yet preserving the nature of this track itself and being high-speed, challenging. And again, when you're running cars with just the different designs here with all of the downforce, boy, it's something. Look at this. We've got the 2 level 5 machines here. Of course, that is, Marino would rather not have Mike get by him here and put him that lap down one more time.
2 more. Yeah, that would be 2 laps down that Marino is, because Scott Tucker's made an additional pit stop in this car, the 551. So now Marino Franchitti goes past Mike Conway. Is now just 1 lap and 99 hundredths behind.
Exactly. Marino hanging on to that position, checks his mirrors there, because you don't want to do anything with a teammate, obviously, in terms of some sort of a problem. So Marino just doing the best thing he can right now is just drive as hard as he can and try and make some ground up and hope he gets some help maybe from attrition, a caution, something along those lines. But boy, have we seen a huge difference here, Jeremy. Speaking of cautions, nada. Don't want to, knocking on wood here, but in the past we've seen a few by this time in the race already, and not today. That is just superb.
Yes, don't push that one.
Yeah.
But
yeah, fabulous. About the halfway point, by the way.
Exactly right. Yes, we are, aren't we? Almost exactly halfway, and that is when Patrick Dempsey brought that 27 car into the pit lane. Andy Lally has resumed, I think, in 4th place. Just waiting for the timing scoring to update itself. Spencer Pumpelly now leads, or still leads, I should say, resumes the lead for the Flying Lizard Team car number 45, for which Nelson Canachet did a super opening stint, and Jerome Blakemolen taken over from Cooper McNeil. And number 22 car, that was the first of the GTC cars to make a pit stop, and we're watching it now from behind on board the Sherpard Watches car of Marco Holzer.
And there you can see a look at the Michelin Green X Challenge, and it's a very intricate formula, but it's basically clean, fast, efficient. Whoever goes the farthest in the shortest amount of time, or in a timed event, whoever goes the farthest and wins. And it doesn't have to win necessarily, but you've got to be competitive. And then also just how little emissions you throw up into the air, how much carbon imprint you have. That is the formula. They award one in GT, and they award one in prototype. And it is a very prestigious award, and we're lucky to have it on board with the fine folks from Michelin as the sponsor, but support from a number of organizations that are very into green, things green, and we appreciate it very much as we are on board with the Chopard Jewelry Total Porsche from Paul Miller Racing. Currently at this stage running in the 10th spot in GT. Marco Holzer now has taken over from Bryce Miller, and they continue to run. It is still Milner leading in GT, second in GT Farnbacher in the Viper, third is the number 56 of Joey Hand, and that is the run order right now, and they're not that far apart on track at this stage. I think separated by something on the order of a second as we are enjoying this ride from Marco Holzer. There, oh, well, there's your battle. And right in the middle of it again is Wolf Hensler. And Hensler doing everything he can. He's already down a lap to the leader, Milner, trying not to go farther down, so if something happens, he can get that lap back. But right now, of course, chomping at the bit will be Tom Farnbacher, because he's seeing now Milner just starting to ease away, Jeremy.
Yeah, he certainly would like to get past Wolf Hensler in that Falcon Tire Porsche, as indeed with Joey Hand there hanging in there in third place. So once again, we've got this three-mark battle for the lead in GT. The Corvette out in front, the Viper in second, and the BMW right there in third place.
Oh, great stuff. And well, look at that. You can see Farnbacher thinking outside, Joey going, if you go there, I'm going to try inside. And all the while, Milner easing away in that CompuWare Corvette. Oh boy, Dominic wanted to get that Viper rotated and get on the throttle just a little bit sooner than he had been, but he just couldn't get to that throttle as soon as he needed to.
No, you're right. Wolf Hensler couldn't be less excited about that battle going on behind him. All he's interested in is trying to keep pace with Tommy Milner. He won't want to let these guys go, but as you say, it's certainly playing into Tommy Milner's hands at the moment. And meanwhile, in fourth place in the class, Maxime Martin in another 55 BMW. He's not that far behind either. He's about 10 seconds, I think, behind this trio, or really duo now, of the Viper and the first of the BMWs.
And catching the back of this battle is the car that currently sits sixth in the LMP Challenge category. That's Chris Cumming, right at the back of that four-car queue right now. And we've seen it. A car overtaking a battle like this can have effect on that battle as well. Boy, and Milner now just catching a huge group of traffic. So opportunity here for these boys to close it right back up again if Tommy gets balked a little bit.
Right, just a quick mention of PC. It is still Duncan Endy who leads. We saw him make his first pit stop before the hour mark, about 52 minutes into the race. So he stayed behind the wheel of car number 9, and he now leads by a complete lap over the second place car in PC, which impressively is Michael Gouache from BR1 Matheson Motorsports. He's taken over from David Cheng, and he's got himself up into second in the class ahead now of number 7 car Tommy Drusi. That's a remarkable effort by the 52 guys.
Yeah, had that big crash in qualifying and started dead last in their class. I mean, second to last on the field, and came up. Just a great run as we're looking at Joey Hand right now. Mike Conway, Cosmo has made up a chunk of time on Conway, by the way, in P2. And we had a report that Conway had radioed in that something didn't feel exactly right. And it may have been, now they think, just pickup possibly on the tires, because he's got his lap stabilized a little bit. As I say that, Cosmo throws in an 11.6, so very close.
And there are the GT leaders working their way past Spencer Pumpelly there in the number 45 car, who leads in GTC.
Over Bleekemolen, and there is Spencer Pumpelly. Again, he's got a tremendous racing history here at this track, with wins, and of course coming off the big win at Lime Rock as well in the E-Silicon Flying Lizards Porsche. Let's hear more from Jamie.
And Spencer Pumpelly knows how to win here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. He has won both in 2011 and 2012 when he was racing with TRG. He told me that he has his eye on the championship at this point in the season. He's not going to take any bold moves that's going to jeopardize getting those maximum points. Right now, his job is easy because he's leading the race, but we don't know what's going to happen with over an hour and 15 minutes left to go. But Spencer is a professional. His head's down. He's got a great team behind him.
Well, Jamie, you bring up a good point, but of course the easiest way to go after a championship is when you're leading the championship, lead the race that you're in at that moment. That makes it pretty simple, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Pumpelly and Canachet currently 1 point behind Henrique Cisneros, driving the number 30 car, currently running in 3rd place coming into this race.
So there is your leader, and they're going to try and give you the margin and show you where the number 22 in the hands of the ultra-quick Jerome Bleekemolen right now. And there he is, that white Porsche right in the middle of a prototype Q. And Jerome Bleekemolen sits 2nd in class at the stripe. The official margin is about 8.5 seconds. And he's got some work here to be able to close that up. Here are your class leaders in each of the 5 categories in the American Le Mans Series. We will be back at the round 5 of the American Le Mans Series Championship, the SportsCar Grand Prix here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
This isn't just a car. It's a legend. This isn't just a family. It's a statement. And this isn't just a brand. It's an attitude. This is SRT.
Can the guys in the booth hear me?
Street and racing technology.
Here's another great thing about our Dueler tires, a comfortable, quiet ride.
Whose idea was this? Corporate.
At Bridgestone, our
I just
passion
wanted to
for
say
performance knows no
to
bounds.
Johnny,
Rated E
I
for
just had
everyone.
a sighting of a very puffed up Bill Riley walking down the back of the pit lane, having been to see the Falcon guys. Just, he was spot on with the way they would feel about that. Bill had a very serious look on his face.
Podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
There's so much to love about Bridgestone's Dueler tires. The amazing traction, the quiet, comfortable ride, and they're really tough. It's like loving 3 tires in 1.
Duck. Duck. Goose.
Our technology builds some of the best tires in the world. Because when it comes to performance, we don't just play around.
Cheater, we said no 360s.
Who's up for some leapfrog?
Welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park here for the 5th round of the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron. The SportsCar Grand Prix at this storied venue. 1961 is when it all began here. Hosted rounds of the Canadian Grand Prix for many years. And I tell you, it has had a rebirth in ways. The track remains the track, and it is one of the most daunting, challenging, fascinating tracks you can imagine. And for those reasons and that high speeds and high cornering loads, making Michelin's job of tire construction is pretty tricky. Jamie Howe takes a look at that delicate balancing act.
When we talk about racing tires, we're often talking about this outside rubber, the tire compound, and how that reacts with the racetrack. But what's just important to the overall performance is right here in the sidewall, how the tire is actually constructed. Now let's pretend like these balloons are some Michelin tires. This one has a very stiff sidewall. You can see as the car loads onto it, it offers a lot of stability, but not a lot of movement. Whereas this one, the sidewall is not quite as stiff. It offers a lot of movement, but not nearly as much stability. Now the challenge is that the race teams, they want both. So Michelin works very closely with each of the car manufacturers to ensure that at every track we race at, the teams have exactly what they're looking for.
And then you look at the record of success that the teams that run Michelin tires have in the American Le Mans Series, and you understand why that is such a special program, the way that Michelin puts it together. Pretty remarkable stuff. And of course, their involvement on so many levels. We talked about the Michelin Green Edge Challenge, a very involved company, I'd say.
Yeah, very much so. Huge amount of development goes on during the season. And a lot of that technology does carry over indeed to street car tires. There's a glance of the both the overall leader coming up to lap the GT leader, who in turn is right behind the PC leader. Duncan Endy still leading magnificently in that class. He's driven the full hour and 33 minutes so far, and he will continue to run out this stint and allow Bruno Junqueira to run about the final 50 minutes of the race. But right now, Duncan Endy has a whole lap over Michael Gouache in second place in the number 52 car in PC.
Yeah, he has just been absolutely superb in the last two races, including Lime Rock Park, as you've talked about. I was watching Klaus Schwab making his way by Duncan and putting him a lap down. But Duncan, as you pointed out, looking pretty comfortable in the LMP Challenge by Continental right now.
Yeah, actually right in front of Klaus Graf there is Michael Gouache. So he's not quite a lap down, Michael Gouache, in the number 52 car, that black and blue car that is 2 cars ahead of the number 9. The white car of Duncan Endy comes out of turn 10 now. Ahead of him on the road is now Michael Gouache, as Klaus Graf in the overall race lead goes past to put them on another lap farther back in the overall order.
Oh, it's fascinating watching how this is unfolding. Right in front of them is the number 8 of Chris Cumming as well in the Evident Capital car, currently sitting 6th in the LMP Challenge category. And, ooh, Duncan running a little bit wide there. He was right up on the rear deck of Gouache and had to suddenly check up and floated wide just a little bit. So, oh, that was a close moment.
Yeah, so it's not quite a whole lap lead that Duncan Endy has, but it's all but just a few car lengths now. But hats off to PR1 Matheson Motorsports. They've completely rebuilt that car overnight. The guys had virtually no sleep at all. Maybe half an hour, 45 minutes is all they had, and maybe $50,000 worth of damage on that car from the qualifying accident yesterday suffered by Mike Gouache.
Yeah, it was a substantial hit. Here we got another look at it for you, folks, if you missed it. Running wide in 3 and just augured in a little bit there, and boy, caught that tire bundle, and it was some comprehensive damage to that car.
Yeah, the good news for that team is that the chassis, the tub, wasn't damaged. Everything else was, but the tub itself wasn't, so they were able to get it repaired and out and running in this race.
And competitively, currently running in 2nd place in the class.
That PR1 team is exhausted right now. You mentioned they had to work all night. They were actually here at the racetrack until 4:30 this morning. They got a chance to go back to the hotel, lay down for about an hour, take a shower, come back to the racetrack because they had to get that car through the technical inspection before the morning warm-up. So the team exhausted right now, but kudos to them because the car is out there running very competitively.
And that's the best reward you can give a crew when they've had to have a thrash like that, is to get out and run it as competitively as they have, up to 2nd, as you said.
Yeah, boy, amazing. Mike Gouache, he's a chemist by trade. Molecule was his company. He's 55 years old, from Pleasantville, California. You know, he loves his racing. He takes it very, very seriously, but he's by no means a professional or a youngster. But he does work very hard. He was distraught after the accident yesterday, not because of the damage he'd caused, as much as the fact that he knew the team was going to have to work all hours of the night, quite literally, to get it back together again. So he is out here this morning, or this afternoon, to make amends to the team, and boy, what a job he has done. David Cheng did the opening stint in this car, and since then Mike Gouache is doing a stellar job and trying to maintain his championship points lead coming into this weekend, which had slipped. He's won already 2 races this season, but it slipped it to just 2 points over Colin Brown, as we saw on that graphic, after 4 rounds of the championship.
And of course, Colin Brown now behind the wheel of the 05 Core Autosport car, has it up into the 4th spot and is doing everything he can. And we've been watching, he has put in some awfully quick laps, but of course then you get that flux in traffic that makes things interesting. And the very impressive Renger van de Zende is back behind the wheel now of the 81 entry, and he too is pretty darn quick.
He is, and he's fighting to hold off Colin Brown, but Brown, as you say, has been turning some stellar laps. There are a few laps he was quicker than the overall race leader. Remarkable, turning low 11s and even high 10s in that car number 05. But Renger van der Zende, he's responded as well. He's just turned a 1:11.6 last time around, but he has Colin Brown pretty much on his heels now, less than 2 seconds behind him.
Yeah, Indy leads it, running 4th overall. Gouache second in 7th overall. Then Van der Zende is 3rd, 9th overall. Then Brown, Dreesy, Cumming, all up in order there. And then let's take a look. Conway has been able to stretch that margin up just a little bit in the LMP2 category, back up to about 14 seconds or so. Getting reports now over the radio that the number 552 of Conway, they're expecting him in within a couple of laps here, as we are at, what, a minute 6 left to go?
Yeah, so I don't think there's going to be enough fuel. If he's in the next few minutes, I think Tucker's going to have to make Scott Tucker is going to have to make a splash and go toward the end of this race. They can, in the first stint, they managed around about 52 minutes. The other car did actually run just over an hour, so it's conceivable they can get to the end, but it's going to be awfully tight. But I'm sure the race engineer there is actually Colin Brown's father, Jeff Brown. He's the technical director at Level 5 Motorsport, so he will have done his sums right. I'm sure he won't bring Mike Conway into the pits until he knows that Scott Tucker will be able to bring that car home to the end of the race without an additional stop.
Cosmos sits second in the class. They're second and third overall. Franchitti currently third in the class, 6th overall, and he is down a couple of laps at this point. And let's see, we've got the GT we told you about, Milner, Farnbacher, Joey Hand, Magnussen, Bomarito, and then Pompelli leading in the number 45 in GT Challenge over the 22 Oblique Mullen, Edwards, Dial, and Jan Halen. And boy, we just got another radio report that the 552 pitting this lap, so maybe there was some sort of an issue, and they're getting reports. The call is going to be a full service stop, which they would have to do at this point. But whoa, Core Autosport Porsche using all of the road down there at the exit of turn 1 as we are riding on board here. And I'll tell you, if you like very fast, undulating, tree-laden tracks, Road America is a place for you, and it's next on the schedule. Check this out. There it is, Road America, Elkhart Lake for the 6th round of the championship. And you can watch it here on ESPN 3, 1:45 p.m. Eastern Time that Sunday on the 11th. It's also going to be aired on ABC as well. So some great opportunities for some superb racing. And as we hop on board with the number 4 Corvette, engineering innovations from the race car often make their way into production models. Justin Bell gives us a closer look.
It's very exciting to see the new Corvette Stingray here in the ALMS paddock. And you know, this car really does deserve its place alongside the race car. And as Tommy Milner, who's driver of the number 4 Corvette, can tell us, there's a lot of technology that's made its way from here over onto that new road car, hasn't it?
Yeah, at the front of the car in the hood, we have the air extractor that helps improve downforce and reduce drag. And at the back of the car, on top of the rear quarter panel, we have an air intake, and that helps cool the gearbox and differential. And both those pieces of engineering are featured on the new C7 Stingray.
And action on pit lane now as the class-leading number 552 makes its pit stop. Mike Conway got out of the car after a stellar opening stint, his first race for the team. Team boss Scott Tucker now getting belted into the car. It's a full-service stop, so they did do the fuel. Got 4 new Michelin tires. A little bit of a delay getting fired back up, but Scott Tucker, not much rest. We saw him just get out of the number 551 just several minutes ago, already back out on track.
Well executed stop, and they are backing at it. But Jeremy, looking at some of the sums, how are they looking on fuel?
Well, very tight it's going to be. I don't think anybody else managed to do 1 hour and 3 minutes before their final stop.
And we see the class leader in LMP challenges in, Justin Bell.
Duncan just jumped out and Bruno Junqueira is making his way in. I want to make a special note. That refueler there will be a svelte silhouette, well known to fans of Trans Am for the last 20 years. That is Paul Gentilozzi himself, the team owner here of RSR, and he is getting his hands dirty by doing the refueling. It's wonderful to see this team make their way into this PC category, and certainly very, as you see Paul there making his way back over the wall. He was faster when I used to race against him, I think. But you know, Bruno is wound up tight to take this car and keep it in the front of this pack because, as you said, it was a stunning result for them at Lime Rock. So a very clean pit stop, driver in. And Jamie, what's happening down your end?
Well, the number 01 from Extreme Speed Motorsports also making a pit stop with a driver change. Guy Cosmo getting out, Scott Sharp now getting in the car. That duo has not been happy with the car this weekend. They did take on the setup of the sister car, but it didn't translate very well. This morning in warm-up, they finally found something that they were comfortable with. They were talking over the radio to the team saying they're pretty comfortable with the way that the car is operating right now. They just need to handle what the race gives them, and it was a quick pit stop for Extreme Speed Motorsports.
It was a good stop for Extreme Speed Motorsports there, and so Scott Sharp will take this car to the end. 1 hour and 1 minute to go. That's going to be very, very tight to get to the end of this race. But the number 9 car is still on pit lane.
Oh my, yeah, problems for that car. Justin, what's happening?
My God, Brian, they were just about to pull off out of the pits, and Bruno went to start the car, and it will not fire. So now they're taking the rear deck load. When will you hear that, for the fans watching this, when you hear us say they're recycling the ignition, they're turning all the electronics off so then they can refire the car. Sometimes it takes that just to literally jolt the electrics into place, but it did not work. He kept on pushing the starter button, and so now they've gone to the back of the car. I'll let you know what happens. I'll get a little bit of a diagnosis on this in a minute. Jamie?
The number 3 car making its pit stop. This is not full service. They will do fuel and tires, but they've already completed their driver change. Jan Magnussen making his 111th ALMS start today. That ties the record with Johnny O'Connell, as well as Bill Auberlin with BMW, also at 111 race starts right now. Some of the most experienced guys in sports car racing. Jan Magnussen doing his job, as well as the team. Very quick for the 3 crew.
Boy, did you see that crew erupt in applause as Magnussen headed out. And that Danny Binks-led crew, that was how you do it. That was a superb stop.
It was after an awful lot of work they had to put together last night to get that car ready. They finally got back to the hotel a little bit after midnight, but super job. Oh boy, what a shame for Bruno Junqueira.
You're rocking the car back and forth like that. That's often indicative of something in the gearbox of some sort, and they're trying to suss that problem out right now. Boy, unbelievable the developments going on here for this team. Let's get back down to Jamie.
And our overall race leader, they have led from the green flag on. They already did 1 pit stop, but that one was fuel only. Now they're doing their driver change. Lucas Lohr getting behind the wheel, Klaus Graf helping him with the belts. There's not very much room in these prototypes. It always looks like there's an extra seat next to him, but there's actually nothing over there except for the electronics. So it's a very, very small cockpit for these prototype drivers. Lucas already belted in. He has his radio plugged in. That's the only work that can be done on the car while the fuel's going in. So now the team doing their job. 4 new Michelin tires. The team looking for 4 consecutive wins in the American Le Mans Series.
And 4 consecutive wins right here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Klaus has done a fabulous job on his birthday, Klaus Graf, and Lucas Lohr now will take over the wheel of this car, and it'll be his 34th birthday tomorrow.
And we heard from Lucas a little bit earlier in the show, and he was talking about, you know, when you've got a huge lead like this, it can be tough to really keep the concentration up. But then he added, here, the traffic is so furious, no matter what you're doing, you have got to be totally into the game at all times here, and that certainly helps.
And right behind Lucas Lohr here, that is the new leader in PC, Renger van der Zande, the Dutchman. He's taken over from Mirko Schultes. We talked about the fact that Colin Brown was closing in the 05 car, but as you can see, no sign of Colin Brown there. He's about 5 seconds behind.
Well, we've been watching what the problems have been unfolding in the number 9 pit. Justin Bell is caught up with Paul Gentilozzi.
Paul, it doesn't matter how many decades you've done this, it still rips your guts out, doesn't it?
I can't tell you how bad, how emotionally bad 14 people feel right now. Duncan drove an amazing race. All we had to do was start the car. And something in the system has failed us, and we're out of the race.
Starter, motor, electronics, gearbox?
No, it's definitely something in the starter itself. Everything else works, but these cars weren't designed really for endurance racing, and it's just got a system failure somewhere, and it's let us down, unfortunately.
Well, really, everyone's sad about this, but Paul, great seeing you in a race suit again, even if it was refueling, guys.
Yeah, absolutely, but you could just see how gutted they were. There's your leader in GT, second place anyway. Dominic Farnbacher bringing that car in, and he will just stay on board. You can see just doing some adjusting on the belts as they're getting ready for the rest of the stop at this point, and getting him back out. It looks like they are going after tires as soon as that fuel is done. Jamie talked about it. You cannot do anything to the car while you're refueling other than a driver change and clean the windshield. And at this stage now, fueling's done, so the car up on the jacks, new tires going on.
Yeah, and the number 4 car yet to make its final pit stop. So once again, the Viper perhaps a little bit less fuel efficient than some of the other contenders in GT, but still with only 56 minutes to go in this race, that 91 car will be good to go to the end of the race.
And so the 16 in, they're going to be doing their stop, and we believe they'll be leaving Chris McMurray. No, maybe not. They've got that door open. No, I guess there will be a driver change at this point. We're also getting reports. Here he is, the number 4 is in, the leader in GT, Tommy Milner in the Comte Dewar Corvette, bringing that car down pit lane. And boy, this is it, isn't it? How quick is this stop compared to the one we just saw by the 91 Viper? And Bomarito, who has fought that 93 pole-sitting Viper back up into the top 3, is going to be coming in as well. So the GT class, this pit lane getting busy, Jamie.
Tommy Milner will stay behind the wheel of the car. Fuel going in right now. Again, no other work can be done, so it looks like they're painfully long pit stops, but this is where the tension is. It's down to these precious little seconds. When the fuel is finished, that's when the guys put the car up on the jacks. They'll take 4 new Michelin tires. Very, very quick pit work for Corvette Racing. Tommy Milner told me this is the favorite track that we go to. It's fast, it's flowing, and it's fun. He said normally he doesn't like tracks he's never won at. He's never won here. He likes it regardless. Great stop for the 4 crew.
Bomarito out, Kuno Whitmer into the 93 car. Now remember, as we watch these most excellently executed pit stops, we have to think of this. They've now found the pace, but now they have to respond to the pressure. It's a whole new thing when you're playing catch-up and getting your way through a development program. It's another when you are the cars that start leading the category, and they are up against teams like Corvette and BMW, who are masters at this GT game.
Agreed, Justin. I'll tell you what, I thought that looked like a pretty darn good stop when you throw in a driver change and tires as well. Superb effort as we hop on board the number 55 of Maxime Martin, who should be picking up the lead here in the GT category in that Crown Plaza BMW Z4. So just superb run as they have been putting together as well here. And we're on board with Maxime. Again, did he pick up? Yes, monitors. Oh, and a huge incident. That's the exit of 1, the number 7, Tommy Dreese, running it way wide over there and catching those tires. And he got a tire that by itself is making its way up the hill and now peels off to the right up against the barrier. And here we go, our first full course caution of the race, coming with 54 minutes or an hour and 50 into the race. Pits are closed. And there you see it from the finish of this from another angle. And well, he went in, that was a substantial off.
Wow, it certainly was. Running in 3rd place in PC behind Colin Brown, who's taken over the lead in that class ahead of Renger van der Zende. Quite sure how that happened. I guess
the
must have both,
the pit close sign just being highlighted for us.
Yeah, indeed. The 2 leaders in the class made pit stops, I think, a little while ago. There is Tommy. Good to see he's out of the car and okay. But yeah, a big accident down there. The first caution of the day with 53 minutes remaining. And the timing of this stop, I don't think is very good, particularly for the BMW of Maxime Martin, car number 55, which I think still owes us a pit stop.
Here's the tail end of this, just way wide early. Not sure what happened. Caught those tires, and it just took that left rear corner off the car, and the left front took off and started running up the track, hits that inside wall, bounces right back over again, and starts tracking up the hill on its own. So it's going to take a little bit of time to clean this one up. So as we hop on board with the Corvette, we want to remind you to enter for a chance to win the all-new 2014 Corvette Stingray and a trip for 2 to the 24 Hours of Le Mans in France. To do it, just visit racetowincorvette.com. Go there now and enter, and you can win a 2014 Stingray and a trip to the legendary Vainqueur du Mans at the Circuit de la Sarthe in Le Mans. We'll be right back to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
There's so much to love about Bridgestone's Dueler tires. The amazing traction, the quiet, comfortable ride, and they're really tough. It's like loving 3 tires in one.
Deltran Battery Tender battery chargers. Just like the everyday consumer, the racing community knows the importance of a healthy charge. Deltran Battery Tender is the trusted charger for some of the most respected brands in the world today. Don't let a dead battery ruin your fun or work. If you can't start it, you can't drive it. Connect a Deltran Battery Tender battery charger to all of your batteries. Available at these fine retailers. If it's not a Deltran Battery Tender, it's just a pretender.
Here's another great thing about our Dueler tires, a comfortable, quiet ride.
Whose idea was this? Corporate.
At Bridgestone, our passion for performance knows no bounds.
Rated E for everyone.
We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
You did it. You solved Corman's enigma. How did you do it, Professor?
Professor? No, I'm not a professor. I'm just here to see my daughter. She's a dance major. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
This isn't just a car. It's a legend. This isn't just a family. It's a statement. And this isn't just a brand. It's an attitude. This is SRT, Street and Racing Technology.
ESPN coverage of the American Le Mans Series Sports Car Grand Prix is brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads. VP Racing Fuels. Our passion is making power. Continental Tire. Innovative technology, driving confidence.
Welcome back, everybody, and let's take a look at the current standings in our Michelin Green X Challenge in the prototype ranks. It is the Muscle Milk Pickett Racing entry that has the point right now. However, you can see very close for second and third between the Dyson Racing team and the P2 entry of Level 5 Motorsports. Again, one for prototype, one for GT, and is how the awarding goes based on the formula. And right now, though, it looks pretty solid for Muscle Milk Pickett Racing at this point. That 4-point margin there in the total, it's a pretty substantial margin as we've seen as the season unfolds. Clean, fast, efficient in Grand Touring and GT. The number 3 Corvette has it right now, but there you see how close those numbers can be. The 91 SRT Motorsports Viper and the 06 Core Autosport Porsche, so close. And again, a very prestigious sort of championship within a championship. They're awarded at each race, but there's also the season-ending award in each of those divisions, if you will. And it is very important. And there's a good look at our Porsche Panamera safety car provided to the series by Porsche, and fortunate to have it. It is a car that is more than capable of getting around that track in a hurry when it needs to, and gets there pretty quick. And of course, under direct control and guidance by race control of that machine. And again, our thanks to Porsche for their providing these safety cars and response vehicles to the series. So Dirk Mueller continues in his quest to win this championship. He's the leader. He's with Jamie.
Well, in the GT point standings, Dirk Mueller leads it with a solo lead. Dirk, this is a very tricky track for you guys. You have a new co-driver here this weekend. How important is this to you in the championship?
Well, you know what, first of all, yes, it feels nice leading the championship, but, you know, as we're a team, it would have been more nice to have, you know, my teammates having the same points, to be honest. But everybody knows I'm having Joey only for half the season, but today I have a good spotter. It's John Edwards. He's spotting us, And you know, he helped me really a lot in Lime Rock. He was the keynote to win that race. So we have really a really good team, and well, but we have a long way to go. And you know, we really want to win here. We did just something really great in strategy. I think we are missing a BMW win here in Canada. I don't know why. I've been on pole twice here with our M3, and we were really close yesterday in qualifying, and we are pushing hard. It's not over yet.
We talk about the track and how daunting it can be for drivers. You won the first American Le Mans Series race here in 1999 in a GT car. How impressive you've been with the changes that have been made?
You know what, I'm really pleased with it. When I came here, everybody told me already. I have a friend, he raced here Cobra, you know, a couple of weeks ago, and he told me, wow, it's you know, it's all changed. And to be honest, I'm really happy to see that. I think that was just what it needed. You can see that really pros were working there, and I really appreciate it.
He mentioned the strategy. There's nobody better than BMW Team RLL, but one team that's vying for a first win is SRT. Justin?
And Jonathan Bomarito, I mean, what an ideal weekend up to a minute ago. You know, you pole position, leading a lot of your first stint. But racing, once you get there, as a racer, you want to sort of get more, don't you? So you have a little disappointed look on your face. Why?
Well, we had an issue at pit lane. I had a pit speed violation after our first pit stop. Which really, you know, this field is so competitive and you can't have that. So I'm very disappointed in myself for that. I'm gutted for the team. You know, they've been working really hard, everybody with SRT Motorsports. Our Viper GTSR is looking good though still. I think this yellow helped us hopefully. And Kuno's in the car now. He has a lot of laps around here, so hopefully he'll be charging hard.
First time I mean, not the first time, but it's the time that we've seen the Viper sort of excelling at the front against these top other GT manufacturers. Where's the strength in the Viper as far as you can see?
You know, I did a lot of racing against the vet out there, and pretty much all the makes. And we're just kind of a little bit good everywhere right now. We've got a good high-speed balance. This track is all about comfort and balancing the rear of the car over these blind crests, and right now we have an edge there.
Perfect. Well, listen, there's a lot of fans out there, I know, watching the Viper do its stuff. So congratulations on the first stint. Well done.
Well, and of course, you know, you never want to see a caution, especially one as a result of a big hit. By the way, Tommy Dreese was out of the car chatting with the on-site EV workers, and you know, mandatory trip into the medical center anytime you have contact like that. But he was sitting and chatting and talking. But this caution is going to help a few people, like that number 93 Viper that had that issue. The number 551 in the hands of Marino Franchitti is in, and I would think, well, they're looking like they're going to show tires, Jamie. Thought they might have just done a quick one here.
Marino Franchitti, of course, staying in the car because his co-driver is in the sister car, the number 552. Marino, though, he loves racing here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, so he was looking forward to doing this long run. He's the sole points leader in the P2 category, so he needs to just go out, run a clean race, stay out of trouble, get the maximum points, and just see where it pans out from there. It's another quick stop for Level 5 Motorsports. Fuel's already done. He is going to get 4 new Michelin tires for the end of this race.
So as the number 9 Core Motorsport team heads out with Colin Braun at the wheel, they were doing an excellent pit stop there as they came in. They've been on deck, and of course I think they had the benefit of the timing there by a couple of laps for the pit for that full course yellow. So sometimes it's just a matter of timing, isn't it, guys? It can make the difference to your race strategy.
Yeah, it certainly is, and for Mike Gouache and the PR1 Matheson Motorsports team, I think a little bit of a misfortune there, because Mike Gouache, I think they made their second pit stop just a little while ago, and came out, I think, just behind Colin Braun, so they weren't able to get the wave around. So they'll get back on the lead lap now, but rather than being when these other guys made the pit stop, if they hadn't gone a lap down, right, when these other guys came onto pit lane, Mike Gouache would have cycled through to lead the class. He won't now. I believe he'll be in 4th place. So a little bit of misfortune there, but still, it's been a great run by that 52 team.
And the pits are now open for GT, and we expect this young man, Maxime Martin, in the number 55 BMW, to make his way down into pit lane from the class lead in GT. So we'll keep an eye on this and see how that unfolds. Again, now we are at 43, right on the dot, 43 minutes remaining in this race. And real quick, before we see Martin stop, remember the 552 of Tucker had pitted. We thought, boy, that's going to be really, really tight on fuel. This may be exactly what they needed.
Yeah, it certainly is. And it's exactly what they need. Here are the GT cars that had not pitted, including amongst them is Sean Edwards then, and I believe Spencer Pumpelly. So the first 2 cars in GTC, both onto pit lane now for what will be their final stop. But,
yeah, exactly. And then the leader in GT as well here.
Yeah, he was the only one of the leaders in GT, number 55 car that had not stopped previously.
So pit lane once again busy under this caution, and Jamie, of course, right there.
Maxime Martin will stay in the car. They are going to give him 4 new Michelin tires. He's been on the radio with Jay O'Connell, the team engineer and strategist, saying, make sure you manage those tires. We need to get these tires to the end of the race. That's one thing that they've worked on all race long, about the 55 and the 56, is making sure to manage those tires. So the number 55, clean, quick stop, and he got out of pit lane in the order he came in.
And you can see right behind there is the number 45. So that was Spencer Pumpelly, who was right up on top in that order in. And there's the number 30. That is the Momo NGT entry, Sean Edwards in. It's a little bit longer stop than I think they really wanted.
Yeah, so Spencer Pumpelly there has very much the advantage, but I believe Jerome Bleckermel in car number 22 did not pit. So he will go and take over the lead in GTC. Meanwhile, Maxime Martin, he will fall to the tail end of the cars on the lead lap in GT. So a little bit of certainly a misfortune there for the number 55 car for BMW.
Here's a good look at the crowd on hand, loving its beautiful day. And we want to remind you, Forza Motorsport 4 features top American Le Mans Series tracks and cars like Porsche, Ferrari, Corvette, BMW, and more. Check it out, Forza Motorsport 4, and check it out at forzamotorsport.net. You'll be glad you did. We'll be right back with more as we're closing in on the final 40 minutes here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, round 5 of the American Le Mans Series. Glorious day.
Duck. Duck. Goose.
Our technology builds some of the best tires in the world, because when it comes to performance, we don't just play around.
Cheater, we said no 360s.
Who's up for some leapfrog?
Rated E for everyone.
We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
This isn't just a car. It's a legend. This isn't just a family. It's a statement. And this isn't just a brand. It's an attitude. This is SRT. Street and racing technology.
August 9th to the 11th, the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron is gearing up to head to Wisconsin for the Orion Energy Systems 245 at Road America.
And it is green, green, green.
Watch all the action unfold as all 5 classes fight for position and struggle to be the first to the checkered flag.
Going into the last corner, it's now or never.
Stream the live qualifying show Saturday on ESPN 3. Tune in on Sunday to watch all the action unfold live on ABC.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The 911. Porsche identity.
Welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. We continue under a full course caution here in this 5th round of the American Le Mans Series. It is about to, I think, recommence, however you can see everybody antsy to go. Leaders in each of the categories: Lucas Lohr leading in the Muscle Milk Picket Racing entry overall in P1, Scott Tucker in P2, Renger van de Zende in PC, GT led by the number 4 Corvette of Tommy Milner, and Jerome Bleekemolen leading in GT Challenge. And we are back and underway. 37 minutes and 40 seconds remaining here, and immediately, as you would expect, Lohr just off to a big march here. Tucker and Sharp, and quickly you would think you're going to want to see Scott Sharp get around. That's an LMP Challenge car. If he can get around that car and take a run at Tucker, that will be the battle for P2. Scott swinging to the outside. I think that was a nice job there. That car definitely let Scott go.
Yeah, Mike Gouache heads up driving. He pulls to the right-hand side, leaves Scott Sharp the optimal line around the outside there in turn 3. Gouache didn't get away by there, a little bit unlucky, so he is not quite a lap down to the leaders in PC.
There is your GT leader, the number 4 Corvette of Milner, but Dominic Farnbacher in that 91 Viper, the silver machine, right behind him. It is that close. Then the 56 Joey Hand, just a bit farther back from them, then Mags, then Kuno Whitmer. And boy, we're looking forward to this one here as we ride on board with Dominic Farnbacher.
That's right, we've got 6 cars on a lead lap in GT, 5 of them nose to tail: Milner, Farnbacher, Hand, Magnussen and Whitmer, and then Maxime Martin a few seconds back, a little bit back in the traffic because he had to make a pit stop and came out at the tail end of the lead of cars.
I think Whitmer may have already gone around Jan Magnussen and picked up, yeah, there he did. So good restart lap, certainly by Kuno. And we had a report that the team had radioed to Kuno and said, if you have to ding it up a little bit to get the job done, go for it. So check this out. Listen to this. This is some of the commentary from the radio from the crew to Kuno Whitmer on board this Viper and what he can do to get to the end.
Don't be bashful. You have permission to scratch the paint on the car if you have to. Don't worry about that. You're going to be right in the thick of it. You're going 1, 2, 3, and 4 are going to be in front of you. You're going to be in 5th place and do whatever you have to do, buddy.
Well, there you have it. Go for it. And if you dig it up a little bit, no worries. Boy, that is music to a driver's ears, and especially somebody like Kuno Whitmer on a track he knows exceptionally well. And watch this. I think we're going to show you the pass now. Right here on the restart, he timed it to perfection. Down to the inside, and well, there's that little, there it is. Scratched. That car's got a scratch in it.
Yeah, that was tight, wasn't it? Whitmer slicing down the inside of Jan Magnussen, and poor Magnussen there stuck on the outside. Not much he could do about it. He had to give way there to the Viper. He wouldn't have liked that one little bit, but it's great racing between those two. All sorts of here, just behind the Viper here is Colin Brown coming across the start-finish line now. He has just taken the lead in PC. Renger van der Zende led at the restart. He has now fallen to 3rd place behind Kyle Marcelli. So it's 0-5 Colin Brown, number 8 of Kyle Marcelli, still in this motor race on his home track, and number 81 of Renger van der Zende, the top 3 in PC.
Riding on board with Johannes van Overbeek and the number 02 Extreme Speed Motorsports Patron. That is the HPD ARX 03B P2 machine. There he is, sitting right now 4th in class. But again, this help from the caution, but he was not able to get his lap back, so they're still down a bit. He needs some help here of some sort.
Battle also going on GTC. We've got 3 cars pretty much nose to tail. I think Jerome Leclerc in the 22 car, Spencer Pumpelly in number 45, and Sean Edwards in the car number 30. Pretty much nose to tail, and Ryan DeYell in the number 68 car for TRG. He's not far behind either.
And Bleekemolen, when the others stopped, when Pumpelly and Edwards stopped, Bleekemolen did not. So I guess maybe a little bit of a question as to how that number 22 WeatherTech entry looks in terms of fuel. Meanwhile, as we ride on board with Johannes, let's check in with his team and Jamie.
Johannes van Overbeek told me before the race that they have one simple goal for this race. It's just to run aggressive and to stay out of trouble. They're motivated to improve on their best finish of 2nd at Long Beach earlier this season. He said if we can be aggressive but still stay clean, that's what's going to get us more points and higher up on the podium.
Oh boy, and we just saw an onboard, from that onboard, a big hit between one of the LMP Challenge cars and I think that number 91 of Dominic Farnbacher. And that was a pretty substantial clocking. And they both came together solidly there. And Farnbacher had been chasing down Milner. And see if we can catch that from perhaps a different angle Watch for it right here. Oof.
Yeah, and Dominic Farbacher there just turning down into the corner, and the PC car, the PC leader, Colin Brown, he was already there. So I think Dominic Farbacher there just not quite paying attention to his mirror, so he certainly did a little bit of bodywork damage on that car.
And here is split by the P1 car from Dyson Racing, and Tony Burgess back behind the wheel. The black car, your leader in P2 of Scott Tucker, and Scott Sharp in that green machine sits second in the category. And once again, these guys always seem to find themselves embroiled in this battle, not for class position, but just on the track action with that number 16 entry that is not as quick in spots and quicker in the straight line, and it sure mixes things up.
Yeah, it was a brilliant long stint by Mike Conway in the 552 car that's enabled this team to lead the race at this stage, and now Scott Sharp has got to put the hammer down trying to catch Scott Tucker. But Scott Tucker, last year at this race, he set the fastest lap of the race, I think, in PC.
I believe you're right.
He actually didn't. Yes, he did, yeah, at a 110.7 1 year ago. So he likes this track, he goes well here, and now he's got to maintain that position and hold off. The pressure, though, is mounting. Scott Sharp is looming large in his mirrors, going down into turn 1.
Tucker just got massively balked.
Just look forward, make it hard on him.
Yeah, that's exactly what the call was, make it hard on him. And then Tucker got balked as he tried to get around Burgess going into turn 10, and Burgess shut the door. Tucker had to check up big time, and that margin that he had built over Sharp is gone. Meanwhile, boy, great racing in the GT Challenge category right now. Getting a little bit of a word that there may be a warning, a furled black they call it, on the number 30 of Sean Edwards. Apparently pretty aggressive, let's say, in his defense of that number 45 of Spencer Pumpelly right now.
Yeah, you're allowed to adopt all sorts of defensive maneuvers in Europe. Over here, that's not the case.
Boy, close action in GT Challenge, Jamie.
A spirited discussion panning out right now on pit lane as Sean Edwards getting the black flag pointed at him, but they feel that they're being held up by the number 11 car. They're screaming at their monitors. They're seeing the same pictures we are, saying, get out of the way, get out of the way. So this battle far from over right now, nonetheless, so it's heated on pit lane.
Well, I tell you what there, that was a reactive move there from Sean Edwards, because he jinked to the inside to look Spencer Pumpelly in the 45 car jinked to the inside going up to the crest of the hill in turn 2, and in reaction to that, it appeared Sean Edwards moved over to block it. That is going to be the call that the race stewards are going to be looking at very, very closely. But that car right in front, Jan Halen in that Hertz Porsche, he is battling with the car in front of him, which is Andy Lally. Those two cars are battling for 5th and 6th in the class, and they are almost one lap down to the leaders, which well, no, I beg your pardon. John Bleckman's ahead of all of them, isn't he? So 27 and the 11 are one lap down, and behind those two is the 30 and the 45 battling for second place.
And you can see Bleekemolen just now, there he goes, just out of our frame into 8, and here's second, the number 30. So it's that close as we hop on board with the number 4 of Tommy Milner, continuing now to lead in the GT category. And after that little clunk between Dominic Farnbacher and Colin Brown, that margin, still not a lot, but it's now at least over almost a second. But Farnbacher has been able to close it back up. They've gapped Joey Hand a little bit to about, 4 seconds. And then Kuno Whitmer is right with Hand in a great battle for third.
Indeed, and Magnussen right with them as well. So all sorts of battles going on here up and down the field. Tremendous stuff. We've got battles in P2, we've got battles in PC, we've got battles in GT, and we've got a heck of a battle going on in GTC. Meanwhile, Jerome Bleekemolen in GTC just pulled out a little bit of a margin. On board here with Scott Tucker going over the hill again into turn 2, putting another lap on Andy Lally's car, and Tucker trying to hold on here ahead of Scott Sharp.
And Tucker through there is Sharp, and right behind Sharp is Franchitti. So, boy, this is getting pretty interesting. And that is the top 3 are all racing for position. And, boy, Franchitti got out of Moss with a much better run. But Sharp was going around a lap car. And still, though, Marino pops to the outside. And if he can make this work, you can do, we've seen it, the outside pass in turn 8. And Marino doing exactly that. That puts him up into second, with Sharp sliding into third. Marino around Jerome Bleekenmolen, and there you see how experienced and used to multi-class racing Bleekenmolen is. When Marino went by, he went, you know, there might be another car there, stayed out, let Sharp through, and then turned in. Great job by Jerome.
Great job also by Marino Franchitti. The team elected to make a pit stop during that last caution period, get fresh tires for Marino, and he's now taking full advantage. And Marino, of course, he shares this 551 car with the guy who's in the car in front of him, the sister car, the 552, and it is the 551 that will score championship points for Scott Tucker. He has to nominate which of the two level 5 motorsports cars he will score points in. He's nominated the 551. So if these two level 5 cars can maintain position ahead of the 01, that is tremendous news in terms of the championship challenge for level 5 motorsports.
Boy, Marino, you're right, absolutely clocking it. And this is an interesting scenario, but since Tucker will get points in the 551 and he's driving both cars, when Marino comes up and goes for a move, I don't think Tucker's going to fight him too hard, because it's win-win, quite literally, in this scenario, isn't it?
It is, but then again, if Marino can stay in between these two, then you know, maybe they can make a change on the last lap. But what Scott Tucker doesn't want to do is open himself up to pressure again from Scott Sharp. So this is a fascinating battle with, what, 26 minutes remaining.
Yeah, it really is, and you can see Marino a little bit quicker out at the exit of 1, down into 2 now. And there is some traffic. There is some traffic up front as well as they get into turn 3. This is a corner that has produced lots of activity over the course of the weekend. Marino right there. Line astern to the owner, team boss, down into 5.
Yeah, Marino Franchitti set the fastest lap of the race in P2 just a couple of laps ago when he was closing in, homing in on Scott Sharp just before he made the move. 1 minute 10.2 for Marino Franchitti. That is a half a second quicker than the fastest lap in the class 1 year ago.
This is your battle for the lead in GT as Lucas Luhr makes the pass. And of both of them, but as we said, it continues to be Tommy Milner over Dominic Farnbacher. We're hearing reports that that P2 lead, they said if Marino is going to make a move, consider making the move up into turn 8, and Tucker won't defend him too vigorously, as we're looking here at Lucas Luhr, who is gone. And yep, there it is. Marino Franchitti is looking to make that pass. It looks like he has done that already and has now picked up the lead in the P2 category.
Yeah, and Scott Sharp is going to try and follow him through into second place, and maybe Scott Sharp has something from Marino Franchitti or not, but that's going to be the battle in the closing stages of this race, or at least the battle in P2. We've got all sorts of other battles though, up and down. In GT, it's Tommy Milner, lead over Dominic Farnbacher, has come down to next to nothing, I think, and that he is a class act in and out of the car. He was very, he's not been happy with the way the TRG cars have been handling, and of course Ben Keating, his teammate in the number 66 car, had that problem earlier in the race. He had to come in and change the radiator, so he's a long way out of contention in the class, but just at this stage trying to pick up some points.
Interesting, we've been talking about in the GT Challenge class, 4th spot in that car. a world-class talent, but somebody not a lot of experience in Porsches, is Ryan Dial, and he is turning some very impressive laps, as you would expect, right there in fourth now in GT Challenge. And Farnbacher swinging around Jan Halen down the exit of 4, up into turn 5, doing everything he can to stay with Tommy Milner. And Jan Halen sensed it coming and let him through.
Yeah, what a job Tommy Milner is doing here in that number 4 Corvette. Took over from Oliver Gavin just about a little bit less than an hour into the race. He's been on board since then and working hard.
On board now with Marino Franchitti, who is now leading in the LMP2 category. And we had alluded to the fact there may have been some team orders, and right here it was. And there you see it. Tucker just stayed out. The problem for Tucker was that he stayed out much longer. Sharp was going to rocket through and underneath. And but it let Marino into the lead. But now, well, let's see what happens here, because I think that Sharp did get around Tucker. As you take a look at this look at it, and just left the door open. But boy, Sharp is right there, and he's through.
Yeah, that was fair enough in my book.
Yep,
I mean, Marino, frankly, clearly much quicker than Scott Tucker, so he goes through to lead the race. And Scott Sharp has also passed Scott Tucker, so the battle's still. I don't think Tucker held up Scott Sharp for too long, but he has got now into second place, but the gap from Franchitti to Sharp is almost 4 seconds, so that's going to be a tall order for Scott Sharp to make up that amount of ground.
There you see it, that second, Sharp in the green Patron Extreme Speed Motorsports car, and then Tucker right behind him in third. As we are taking a look here, watching this battle in the P2 category now for second, as we pointed out. And Tucker going to try and do everything he can. Why not? Try and go for a 1-2 sweep, take first and second in the class that you're driving in both cars at this point. And you know, each weekend the American Le Mans Series races, lots of other series help entertain the crowds. One of the most popular is the Porsche GT3 Cup, presented by Yokohama, and the opening race 1 from the weekend. Some of the highlights: young 17-year-old.
Always exciting. Madison Snow starts from the pole in the 62, but Michael Mills and Craig Dewerson have a great battle for 5th. Good stuff there. And then Angel Benitez Jr. gets past Snow. Benitez in the 25. That is for the lead in Platinum class. Sloan Ury battles with the 46 of Brett Sandberg. But in the end, a last lap battle. Madison Snow in the 62. Benitez in the 25. Coming to the line. It's going to be a photo finish. And Snow takes the victory by the smallest of margins. And more importantly, he takes over the point lead. Good stuff from IMSA GT3 Cup. And we'll be back with more American Le Mans Series action from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park right after this.
There's so much to love about Bridgestone's Dueler tires. The amazing traction, the quiet, comfortable ride, and they're really tough. It's like loving 3 tires in one.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The 911. Porsche identity.
Here's another great thing about our Dueler tires, a comfortable, quiet ride.
Whose idea was this? Corporate.
At Bridgestone, our passion for performance knows no bounds.
Now relax. Let the chi flow from the inner Zhang Fu organs outwards as the needles open your meridians.
Oh, it feels so good. I really thought the needles would hurt.
So did I. I hate needles.
That must make it hard to do what you do.
Oh, not really. I deliver paninis. He's the acupuncturist. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Oh.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
This isn't just a car. It's a legend. This isn't just a family. It's a statement. And this isn't just a brand. It's an attitude. This is SRT. Street and racing technology.
Rated E for everyone.
We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
Welcome back, everybody. A reminder, the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron returns to the high-speed turns of the series' longest track, legendary Road America, on August 11th. You'll see all the action live flag to flag on ABC at 3 p.m. Eastern, and you can watch it live as well at 1:45 p.m. on ESPN3. So tune in and enjoy racing at another of North America's amazing racing venues. But we've got a good one going on right here. It is the fifth round of the championship at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and Tommy Milner leads in that yellow, Velocity yellow Corvette, and Dominic Farnbacher in the number 91 Viper sits second, and that's the margin. But maybe a bigger story is the speed of the 93 car and its progress into this battle.
Absolutely right. It's American muscle here, V8 versus V10. The Corvette gets the Viper. Farnbacher there in second place, and only about 4 seconds or so behind him is Kuno Whitmer in the number 93 car, who has passed not only Jan Magnussen but also Joey Hand. Remarkable run by Kuno Whitmer.
And this one is solid as well for second in the GTC category. Sean Edwards in the Momo NGT red machine there, and Spencer Pumpelly in the silver and red East Silicon Flying Lizards Porsche, the battle for second in class. But the other part of that story is they're whittling away that margin. They're now within 3 seconds of class leader Jerome Bleekemolen in the 22 machine. That is, of course, the WeatherTech entry. So we've got some exceptional battling going on here in GTC.
One of the most exciting things to watch on pit lane is when we get to these closing stages of the race, the teams will start moving around on down here on pit road. The crew chiefs will go from team to team and say, listen, we want to race. That's exactly what's happened here at NGT Motorsports. The crew chief for the number 45, Tommy Sadler, Flying Lizard, he came down and he said, listen, we can't have any of that blocking. We want to race you clean. We want to race you fair. You have to let us. NGT in response, they said we're just out here running our own race as well. So this battle not over yet. We still have 15 minutes left.
More machinations down on pit lane, and sometimes it becomes a flat-out game of politics, doesn't it?
Yeah, and here's a battle for second place in PC. Colin Brown's extended a handy margin over both of these two, and Kyle Marcelli there in car number 8 is chasing after Renger van der Zende in car number 81. So this is a big battle going on for second place. Just talking about battles, about defending your position. You're allowed to move to the inside to take a line into the corner, but you're not allowed to react to somebody else trying to make a move on you, if you see what I mean. So if you take the inside line going in toward the corner and somebody else moves. Wow, great racing.
What a move! That was the 45, but he got that inside curb so hard, Jeremy, that as a result, that car bounced up in the air, lost all of that momentum, and the number 30 was able to get back in front. But boy, that was curb hopping. Spencer Pumpelly willing to go after it here and push the envelope. Can he do it around the outside? Oh, so close, no.
Well, again, Edwards there, he took the inside line into the corner, and Pumpelly was thinking about trying to go around the outside line, but Sean Edwards just let that car drift over a little bit, and he's got to be careful about things like that. He didn't move to the outside, so there was still room for Pumpelly to go to the outside, but once you made a move, you're not allowed to make a reactive move to keep somebody else behind you. Let's have a look at this again down at Moss Corner.
Just a huge stack up, and it forced the 30 out. There goes Pumpelly underneath, but then he really clocked that curb. And it was the 8, actually, of Kyle Marcelli, who was just racing in that group coming through, that forced him up over the curb. And as a result, the number 30 of Sean Edwards able to get the drive down on the outside of that turn and was able to make that repass, if you will. Jamie, it couldn't be any closer in this battle for second.
Well, I mentioned earlier Spencer Pumpelly saying he wasn't going to take any risk. His eye was on the championship and getting the maximum points. The problem with that strategy right now is that it's Enrique Cisneros, Sean Edwards' teammate, who is leading the GTC championship. So if Spencer finishes second behind him, he's going to score 4 less points, and that's just going to extend the gap. There's a lot on the line right here.
Well, yeah, that's, I mean, his mission at this point has got to, oh, and did Sean Edwards get a break as they came up, going around that number 44 Lizards car, some of those GT traffic as well, and Edwards, oh, and the 30 has gone around. I don't know, I wonder if, I don't know whether he just suddenly had to check up and had it spin, or whether there was some sort of contact. He's able to keep it running, Jeremy, and is coming back on track. But see if we can find it from a little bit different angle here. He's got damage to that right rear corner. Watch it here.
He's got the Falcon Tire Porsche behind him, and the Falcon Tire Porsche just carrying a lot more speed around there, as you would expect, than the number 30 car. And in the number 70 car was Brian Sellers. We're on board here looking back, and oh boy. Yeah, as Edwards checked up there, Sellers hit him from behind and punted him around. It certainly wasn't intentional. That's not anything that Brian Sellers would do.
Oh, man, and there you see Edwards off into the barrier, damage to the right rear. Here's a look at the Momo car, and after that elation of getting that lead back, there's Enrique right up on the top left that just stood up again. He realizes his points scenario is now in massive jeopardy, and look at that damage to the right rear corner. That Yokohama tire cut down in that incident. And that's going to spell disaster in terms of points and a finish here.
It certainly was. They came in here leading by just 1 point, did Enrique Cisneros, over Nelson Canachet and Spencer Pumpelly in the number 45 car, and only 5 over Jerome Blakemole and Cooper McNeil.
Oh, man. Unbelievable developments here in the late going. Pumpelly now will pick up second. Dial will move up into third. And Edwards just trying to limp that car back and salvage something. Suddenly, massive change in terms of the point scenario in the LMP or the GT Challenge category. Wow.
Yeah, not sure what happened there, because Sean Edwards was nobody right in front of him, and whether what happened to Brian Sellers, why he would hit the other Porsche in the back, I don't know. Maybe he was distracted perhaps by something else in his mirrors.
Well, he did have the 48 Chopard Porsche right there in the mix that he was running with, to be sure.
And
so
battling
pretty
for
fierce.
position.
Yeah,
with.
exactly. Meanwhile, Milner's barely in front of. Well, now it actually expands out because in traffic. I looked at the monitor at the last time the scoring monitor and where the margin was, and it was non-existent. Obviously, traffic. Tommy's been able to gap him a little bit, but one of the quickest guy here is the Kuno Whitmer in the number 93, and he is really putting some racing on. There was Colin Brown coming underneath Farnbacher, and as he drifted across at the top of Moss, just a little tap from Farnbacher. No harm, no foul.
That's right, and behind Dominic Farnbacher, still about 4 seconds behind is Kuno Whitmer in the second of the Vipers, car number 93, and Jan Magnussen about another 4 seconds behind, and Magnussen and Joey Hand battling away for 4th and 5th places, but apparently not able to keep up with the number 4 Corvette or the 2 Vipers. It's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. We are now into our final 10 minutes, folks. 9.5 minutes remaining in this 5th round of the championship. The SportsCar Grand Prix at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and some class battles. There we sit with the 91 of Farnbacher. Again, that's the margin. That next car up is the leader in the GT class with Kuno Whitmer, consistently running quicker and closing the margin up, but does he have time? And with all of that contretemps in the GT Challenge and that battle for second, Bleekemolen, who's had seen his lead whittled down to about 2 seconds, now finds it back up to about 5.
It does indeed, but Spencer Pumpelly now, at least he has clear track. Whether he can do anything about Bleekemolen's lead, I don't know, but Ryan Diel, hats off to he and Alex Popow, who are running in 3rd place in the class, their first start in GT Challenge, and doing an excellent job.
Colin Brown leads in LMP Challenge, 2nd the 81 of Van der Zende, 3rd the 8 of Kyle Marcelli. So, and a great story with the 52 of Mike Buash after the crash crushing qualifying, coming up and being right back in the top 5.
You're right, and that battle for second there still going on in PC. Number 81 of Renke van der Zende and number 8 of the local hero Kyle Marcelli still at it, hammer and tongs. Nothing to choose between those two cars.
We just saw Milner getting a little bit balked here, and that has allowed the 91 of Farnbacher to get a little bit, take off about half of that margin, and he was able to get through that GT Challenge car a little bit cleaner, so he's closed that up. In P2, it's still Marino Franchitti leading in the 551 level 5 entry, but only by about 4 seconds over Scott Sharp in the 01 ESM Patron entry, and then Tucker about 5 seconds back in third, and then the number 02 of Van Overbeck, again, still that lap down, but you know, things other than that gap up front with Lucas Luhr having a big lead at this point over Tony Burgess in the P1 category. The other classes all close heading into our final 7 minutes.
Yeah, they certainly are, and what a job Tommy Milner has done. Yeah. He and Oliver Gavin, the defending champions in GT, of course. They started off this season with a magnificent win at the 12 Hours of Sebring. Richard Westbrook joining these two in that car on that occasion. Since then, though, they've not had an awful lot of luck, but they are, you know, not too far back out in the championship points. This is a big battle for second, third, and fourth, because they're separated with just a couple of points in there, a whole bunch of different drivers in there. But it's been a super run by Gavin and Milner. And Milner now, you know, it's just less than 7 minutes ago, but they're still the Viper ever present. Does Dominic Farnbacher ever anything for the Corvettes?
Boy, and I'll tell you, this is pressure cooker scenario here when you've got somebody that close to you heading into the final moments of a race. And now, Tommy, they've had clear track for a couple of laps. It is gone. There is some traffic up in front of Milner. I think it's the number 30, Edwards, who's gone in, got that Yokohama tire that was cut down in that contact replaced. And he's through. But there is some traffic right now as we come out of Moss now. And Bleekemolen, boy, Pumpelly has thrown down a couple of very fast laps and brought that margin down to Bleekemolen from over 4 seconds to 2.3. That was at the line last time. So we're going to see just how close that is as we ride on board with Dominic Farnbacher as we are closing in under 6 minutes to go. Here we go. Milner up into traffic. That's the 44 team car. And he's going to swing around at the approach to turn 10. He's through. Farnbacher. Nice job by Dominic there not to run up on the back of that 44 car.
5.5 minutes left.
And actually just gave himself a little bit of breathing room and made up some ground in that exchange. Nice piece of driving by Farnbacher.
He did. He used all of the curb on the exit of turn 1, just carrying as much speed as he possibly can. And he informed over the radio there, 5.5 minutes to go in this race, and that is the gap. It's what, 2 or 3 car lengths between the two of them, if that.
And now look at that, 4 cars they're coming up on, including the leaders in GT Challenge. So this is going to be fierce. That first car on your screen is your leader in GT Challenge, Bleekemolen. That car, second in GT Challenge, the 45 Lizard car. Then the lap car of the 48 Porsche in GT, and then our GT leaders coming up on them. There goes the 48 car past second in GT Challenge. Jeremy, this is going to get awfully fraught here. These guys, this is going to be close. I don't know any other way to put it, because he's got to get through clean. He does. Now, Milner able to knife through, get underneath that 48 car, swings around the outside of Andy Lally, and now trying to make the pass on Bleekemolen. Both of those guys get through. Now they've got Bleekemolen, and Farnbacher got the drive. Milner got balked a little bit. Now Farnbacher swings out. That wasn't going to work. He tucks right back in. Now, though, he was thinking, can I get anything done here? But they've got to get by Bleekemolen. Both do. So, that was close. And now as we start 4 minutes left in this one, clear track, it's down to these two in GT.
Brilliant driving by both of them there. Tommy Milner certainly held up a little bit coming off turn 10. That enabled Dominic Farnbacher in the number 91 Viper to get a run on him. But smartly, Milner held to the inside line down to turn 1, as he's absolutely entitled to do, and holds on to the lead. That was the number 17 car, Brian Sellers, serving his stop and 60-second hold penalty for that incident earlier on with the car number 30.
Sort of expected that, and it was announced while we were in that great sequence of racing. In GTC, Pumpelly through that all, actually carved another half second out of Bleekemolen. The margin there now 1.8 as we are coming up on 3 minutes to go. So 2 laps, maybe 3 here. And boy, look at this. Farnbacher has the bit, and Milner feeling immense pressure through turn 10. Coming up here, yeah, they should get now at least 2 laps to go.
Kind of depends where the overall race leader is. So here's this battle though right behind the GT cars for second place in PC, and Kyle Marcelli looks to the inside into turn 1. That's not going to work. Renger van der Zende heads up the hill now with a couple of GT cars right ahead of him, and Marcelli again trying to take advantage. Whoa, big slide by Kyle Marcelli.
And van der Zende guessed right there, got to the inside in 3, and boy, he gave him all of 2 car lengths, maybe. Because Marcelli just coming, but boy, what a moment by Marcelli, trying to pinch the inside there, gave it the big wiggle, and was able to hang on to it. Now that is fierce. Here you go, this is your GT Challenge battle. It is Bleekemolen hanging on over Spencer Pumpelly, and remember, Pumpelly stopped, and I think they got tires, so he may have just some fresher tires on than Bleekemolen does, and that may be spelling the difference.
I think you're right, but Jerome Bleekemolen, he's a wily campaigner who's been around this sport a long time, had an awful lot of success in Porsche, so he knows how to manage his tires. I'm sure he'll be trying, have been trying to keep a little bit in hand for the final couple of laps. He's going to need it.
Boy, Milner just a little slide at the exit of 9, approaching 10, with 1:40 left to go, and Farnbacher watching, hunting, looking, any opportunity that he can. Boy, they would love to put this one and get the win. But you heard Oliver Gavin earlier in the show say it's been a long time since Sebring. We need this.
And coming up to get through these 2, though, this is a battle, though, for second place in PC, working their way through the 2 GT leaders. So, you know, there's battles all the way down the field, and poor Kyle Marcelli there got held up a little bit by the Viper, because the Viper doesn't want to give anything away to the Corvette.
Well, and van der Zende equally got held up by Milner, who didn't want to let him through and slow him down. So really, nobody gained, nobody lost too much in this, other than I think Farnbacher, who definitely, you know, he'd been all over the back of that vet, and now he's a good 5 car lengths off.
Yeah, I actually think both of the second place guys in these particular battles lost out a little bit there, but still, you know, we've got the time is ticking. I'm not sure where the race leader is. I don't think we've seen the white flag just yet. So perhaps 2 laps to go there in this wonderful battle for the lead in GT.
Boy, and it is that. Boy, van der Zende trying to hang on to that second spot in LMP Challenge, drove those 2 GT cars perfectly, really stretched that margin over Marcelli, and Milner doing a nice job to expand his lead now. You can see that. That's, well, at the line, officially, that margin was a second, and it was none of that at all. Here we go, expecting the white flag here for Lucas Luhr in the number 6 Muscle Milk Picken Racing HPD ARX 03C. There it is, 1 to go for Luhr and Franchitti. Boy, I'll tell you, Sharp has trimmed that margin down a little bit, got it to under 2 seconds. Sharp has in the battle for P2. Oh, lots going on yet.
Tremendous, isn't it? And the white flag came out there with about 5 seconds to go. So Lucas Luhr is looking to bring this car home to the finish, but all sorts of other people are battling for positions themselves.
And look at Sharp. He is almost over the back of Franchitti, getting by Bleekemolen. So we've got class leaders here in GT Challenge together, in overall and in LMP2. There is Sharp right in front of Lucas Luhr. Luhr trying to swing around here, but Sharp trying to do everything he can. He does not want to lose any ground to Franchitti. Sharp wants 1 more lap. That's what he's fighting for. And we just saw a car with some smoke, a little damage. Who was that? That's one of our
number 9 cars.
Oh, yeah.
Junqueira, many laps down.
So here we go. Lucas Luhr onto the front straight. That's Franchitti in front. Sharp trying to come along, but Lucas Luhr is going to get the win.
Nice job, buddy. Nice job, pal.
And that
Good
essentially
job,
means even though Franchitti will complete another lap, Sharp getting the checker behind him. But look at this battle in GT. Farnbacher trying the outside for a minute as they headed into 4. Not there. Up into 5. Boy, swinging way out. Wants to grab the throttle a bit sooner. and make the drive, and you know Milner's going to be all the way to the right down this straight, Jeremy.
He is, and Tommy got a little bit defensive there going into the second part of the boss corner.
Coming.
It's a drag race. No, but boy, here's a PC car getting in the fight as well.
Oh, but look at this. He thought he was going to go to the left. Milner opened the door up, and down goes Farnbacher, but that LMP challenge car, Farnbacher had the run, thought maybe I'll ramp the outside, and that LMPC car coming by absolutely disallowed that, and here we go. It is going to be Milner bringing home the win in GT for the Corvette team. And Dominic has got to be going, boy, what if that car hadn't been there? So at this point, here are your class winners. Luer overall in P1, Franchitti in P2, expanding his point lead.
Deltran battery tender battery chargers.
Milner
just like the
GT,
everyday consumer, the racing.
Mullen in GT Challenge. Wow.
Deltran battery tender battery chargers. Just like the everyday consumer, the racing community knows the importance of a healthy charge. Deltran Battery Tender is the trusted charger for some of the most respected brands in the world today. Don't let a dead battery ruin your fun or work. If you can't start it, you can't drive it. Connect a Deltran Battery Tender battery charger to all of your batteries. Available at these fine retailers. If it's not a Deltran Battery Tender, it's just a pretender.
Rated E for everyone.
We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The 911. Porsche identity.
Now relax. Let the chi flow from the inner Zhang Fu organs outwards as the needles open your meridians.
Oh, it feels so good. I really thought the needles would hurt.
So did I. I hate needles.
That must make it hard to do what you do.
Oh, not really. I deliver paninis. Easy acupuncturist. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Oh.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
This isn't just a car. It's a legend. This isn't just a family. It's a statement. And this isn't just a brand. It's an attitude. This is SRT. Street and Racing Technology.
ESPN coverage of the American Le Mans Series Sports Car Grand Prix is brought to you by Mazda. On any given weekend, more Mazdas are road raced than any other brand. Tequila Patron, simply perfect.
Perfect race for Klaus Graf and Lucas Luhr. Birthday boy Klaus Graf. Tomorrow's birthday for Lucas Luhr. They are with Jamie Howe.
Well, Lucas Luhr getting the victory today. Not a very big smile on your face, though. I can tell you were working hard out there. How did you manage to stay concentrated over the course of this race?
Well, I had some victories here so far, but I think this was, for me personally, by far the easiest one. Klaus did a long first stint, and I just had to bring it home. So it's very, very tough to keep your motivation and concentration, but we managed. It's another good day for Masamek Pickett Racing. The boys really deserve that, and it's a good birthday present for Klaus. So Klaus, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you tomorrow.
And in GT, that fantastic battle all the way to the checkered flag. It's Gavin and Milner come away with the victory just over the Viper, and Justin Bell is on pit lane with our winners.
What an amazing result. What an amazing finish to the race. Oliver Gavin, Tommy Miller. I mean, that was as exciting. It reminded us of the best that GT brings to it. But it was very, very close, Tommy, at the end there.
Super close. Our Corvette was fantastic all race long. We had a bit of a bad day yesterday, but the crew guys did a great job. Gave us a great car today. Dominic and I had a battle there. I knew after that yellow flag we'd be nose to tail for a while, and I got through traffic a bit better than he did, but right at the end there, I got the worst of the traffic, and he was right on me. And last lap, he was quick in 8th there, and I was either going to spin or take the lead. So I just threw it in there, and it stuck, and here we are, P1.
Great drive by both of you, and I think you can safely say that Vipers are here to make a mark for the rest of the season. It won't be the last battle we see. Jamie?
Well, Dominic Farnbacher, congratulations. Hugs from the team right now. When he got out of the car, his co-driver, Mark Goossens, first thing he said, I love you. Dominic, you were pushing so hard. How hard was it?
I mean, it was very hard. I mean, I gave everything I could, but Tommy was very strong up there in his car, and he didn't do any mistakes, so it was very hard for me. At the end, there was like the last lap was very tight. Yeah, I mean, the car got a little loose of him. We got into traffic, but he defended it very well and did no mistakes. So congrats to Corvette Racing, but SRT Motorsport did very well. 2 on the podium. We cannot hope for a better result. Thank you.
Great battle. Hopefully a sign of things to come.
So the second win of the season for the Corvette guys. In P2, the Scott Tucker and Marino Franchitti also come away with a hard-earned victory over Guy Cosmo and Scott Sharp. And Justin Bell is with Marino Franchitti.
I mean, Marino always shows his emotions right on his sleeve, but that was a cracking result. I think you guys pulled the right strategy too, putting you right in there for that last stint.
All credit to Level 5 guys. We got the right strategy. I don't think we had the fastest car out there, but the strategy, the pit work, and just driving hard on track, we managed to do it. It was really close, so the Patron guys ran us really hard. It was a great battle out there, but just really delighted for Scott and David Stone and the whole team. Just fantastic.
Is it a case of the tougher the track, the more rewarding the victory?
Absolutely. I've always said it's my favourite track. It's kind of a bit watered down now with all this runoff, but
I've got to shoot Marino, but really good result, mate. Brilliant.
Let's have a look at the Michelin Green X Challenge results in the prototype category. Number 6 Muscle Milk Pickett Racing comes away with a comfortable victory over the number 16 car from Dyson Racing. In GT, the Corvette once again comes away with a narrow victory in the Michelin Green X Challenge for the GT category. Well, what a day it's been here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. A tremendous crowd on hand, absolutely perfect weather conditions. And this has been a wonderful day of motor racing. For Greg Kramer and Jamie Howe and Justin Bell, I'm Jeremy Shaw. Thank you for joining us. Let's have a look at the PC results. Again, a fantastic victory all the way to the end of the race. It's Colin Brown and John Bennett come away with a victory after a tremendous comeback by Colin Brown. Now, he was the fastest man on track all weekend long. And in second place is the Dragon Speed entry of Mirko Schultes and Renger van der Zende. But Jamie Howe is with our winners in PC.
Well, as you said, Colin Brown absolutely dominating all weekend long. We have a couple of high-speed tracks coming up. What does this victory say about the strength of this team?
Well, I think we've had really good pace all year. The Motorsport guys have done just a fantastic job. Travis Lowe, my relatively new engineer, has been really meshing with me and John Bennett. And, it's just been a great season for us, really. We struggled a little bit at Sebring, but other than that, I think we've been really, really fast. And, it's certainly just a pleasure to drive for these guys. And I have to imagine that puts us in the championship lead now as well. So, we just got to keep our heads down and keep pushing, working hard. We're all about constant improvement and getting our cars faster, and, that's all we're working on.
Second win of the season. This championship battle's really heating up.
Thanks.
It is, and that will enable Colin Brown to take the championship lead in GTC. The battles there close as well, both in the race and the championship. The race today once again won by Alex Job Racing, defending champions in the GTC class. Jerome Blakemolen and Cooper McNeil coming away with their second win of the season. They are with Justin Bell.
Cooper, Jerome, I mean, we talked at the top of the show that this was going to be a tight race if qualifying was any indication. And Jerome, you guys had to push the whole way right to the end.
It was incredible. I don't think I've ever had such a tough fight in GTC. We were all doing qualifying laps all the time. I saw them in my mirror fighting like crazy, and still I had to go and drive as fast as I could as well. So unbelievable to take the win.
So guys, this is one of those categories that people love to watch and everyone likes to drive in.
That was just a wonderful race all the way through it. We're going to have one more look at the Michelin Green X Challenge results. And or not, as the case may be. But what a day this has been. I think the crowd has been magnificent. The weather has been absolutely perfect after high heat and humidity at the beginning part of the week. It's been perfect for the last 2 days. And I think everybody here has had a fantastic day of racing. And the new track here has been magnificent. We go to another great racetrack also in 3 weeks' time to Road America for the 6th round of the American Le Mans Series presented by Patron, and that is going to be another race not to be missed. A fabulous racetrack there, the second fastest racetrack on the circuit for the American Le Mans Series, and always provides tremendous racing. Last year, the closest finish ever in ALMS history at Road America, so don't miss that race. Hope you can join us for that one. It's been a great day of racing all around here. The track has been magnificent. This is always a tremendous place to come. It's Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. All the facilities have been improved over the winter, made a better experience for everybody. For Greg Creamer, Jamie Howe and Justin Bell, I'm Jeremy Shaw. Thanks so much for joining us here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. We'll see you again at Road America in 3 weeks' time.